Hang on a second. The chat can't hear anything, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hang on a second. The chat can't hear anything.
Terrence says he can hear us. King Gore says he can hear us. Sonyman 100. I think they can hear.
They can hear us talking, but they couldn't hear the trailer. I was checking too. I heard you talking. They can hear us talking, but they couldn't hear the trailer. I was checking too. I heard.
Sorry, I had to shut down the audio on my phone real quick.
I'll try it again at the end of the video because it's already late. I made a really nice trailer bumper that had everybody's channel on there, their Instagrams, everything, and and the music's not playing behind it. And it's music that Mark made, and I'm really upset with myself because it's not working properly. That ticks me off. Welcome to the shit show. Because that's how I feel right now. Welcome to the show. Let me say what's up to the chat because they've been sitting here for a while, and then I'll introduce everyone. And we'll try the other trailer. Okay, so Terrence was the first one in the house. He says, thumbs way up. Let me close out this other app because that also might be slowing me down. Close that completely. There we go. And then also, yeah, that was a typo. And then that was me telling everybody about the technical issues. Tony Man's in the house and says, those damn gremlins. Terrence says, this is a Kentucky harvester. I don't know what that means. Tony Man says, now I have another reason to hate Christmas. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Did I miss something?
I hate Christmas too.
Yeah. Oh, is it about my lights back here because I have a Halloween tree? Found a Halloween tree at the Dollar Tree. So it's like a tree for $1? Yeah, sign me up. Okay, Tony Man also says, you got to watch out for them foreigners because they plant gremlins in the machinery. It's the same gremlins that brought down our planes in the big one. And that's an actual quote from Gremlins.
No, I think he's talking about that movie. What was the name of that movie where the girl was on a plane and there was a gremlin on a plane with the Chloe Grace Moretz? What was the name of that movie? I think he's talking about.
I don't think I saw that one. I don't know that one.
Name, oh my god! But it was a movie where it was gremlins on the plane.
King Gore says, I reserved box tickets with heated seats, canceled my grandmother's funeral so she could be here at 4 p.m. for this stream. And you're telling me I have to wait a couple minutes?
Oh, God.
What kind of audience do you have?
Soderman says she's always fashionably late.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I try.
Her fashionably late is fashionably late.
Yeah. Turns out she is a real diva, that curly girl. If the writer is not in, check them tantrums ensue. And if you don't know what a writer is, that's a musical term for what famous artists put in their writer what they want in their green room backstage. That's where you hear I want a bowl of M&Ms with no green M&Ms. So he's saying that curly girl is a writer for her to show up.
Terrence is lying. That's not true.
I did have some real spider webs in the corner. And I did take, you wouldn't have been able to see him anyway, but I took him down because for you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dan. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Tony says, I forgot Curly Girl is going to be on here. Where's Lordrin? And Terrence says, makes Elton John look like Gandhi, LOL. And then Terrence says,
hey, where's my husband?
Yeah. Terrence says, yeah, where is Lordrin? I hope he signed a prenup. Get half off the doll collection. Half of the doll collection.
He ain't getting shit.
Lady Shasha needs.
Where's my old husband?
Lady Shasha needs a technical difficulty place card. Yeah, I need to get the one from The Simpsons because this is what plagues me. I know I am the technical difficulty. That's what the issue is. It's not the technology. It's me. I'm playing the girl from Ipanema anyways.
Ipanema.
Ipanema.
Whatever.
Thank you. And then these are more technical stuff. Tony Man says, internet's like bitches be tripping.
What?
Okay, I think we're pretty much caught up. Okay, everybody can hear now. We're caught up. I'm gonna go ahead and play the trailer for Akira, and should be able to hear that one because it's on a totally different app.
Let's go.
Oh, I forgot to introduce everybody. Oh my god. See, when you have technical difficulties, it throws everything off. Okay, here with me today is Mr. Dan in a horror. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about your channel, Mr. Dan?
Yeah, I started my channel a little over a year ago, and I basically review mostly horror movies. A little bit of whatever I want. Mostly horror movies. I've been going to the Dollar Tree a lot lately and focusing on $1.25 movies.
And then next to him is Mark, who has Tape Night Productions as well as Laser Cloud Records, and also, no, I just have those two. Tape Night Productions. Am I saying that right, Mark?
Yep, that's right.
And Laser Cloud
You guys
Records.
can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Tell us
Okay,
a little
cool.
bit more about what you do as an animator, because I've seen that you've been doing some animations.
I'm trying to get into it now. I've been doing art for probably like 20 years, just basically pen and ink, that type of stuff. I've kind of been doing music for about, 6 or 7 years, and I'm trying to put them together and make them move. Starting to get, that going with like animated trailers, stuff like that. I'm trying to hopefully bridge into larger, longer animated trailers. But just getting started. So there's a couple on my page on Tape Night. You can see things I've done for like different clients that are mostly like music related, where I took their music or I use my music and build it together with illustrations. So, yeah.
And then next up, welcome to the show, by the way, is Fitz, who has 2 channels. He has Hobby View and Movie Science Review. You want to tell us a little bit about both channels?
Sure. Movie Science Review is a brand spanking new channel I just started just for giggles, where I review movies from an engineering and science perspective to see what makes sense and what doesn't, and kind of give my comments on that. And I have another channel I've had for several years called Hobby View, and it focuses on my hobbies, mainly radio-controlled vehicles, mostly airplanes, where I do reviews and talk about different models and stuff like that. So you can check them out.
And also we have Curly Girl at the Movies. And her title kind of tells you everything, but I wanted to talk more about what types of horror movies that you review, Curly Girl, because I enjoy your selection.
Oh, well, I like to talk about messed up movies, fucked up movies, disturbing movies, weird movies. That's me. I'm just weird. I do weird shit on my channel. I review movies while doing my hair, getting my drink on, or reacting to extremely fucked up movies. That's me.
That is what's up. And so here we go with our trailer for Akira.
Neo Tokyo is about to explode.
Again.
Streamline Pictures presents a state-of-the-art adventure, Akira.
How rude. Akira. Okay, I
Drinking
have to
game.
ask.
You can take a sip every time someone yells.
Oh, I got a
name.
drinking game. You know, I was going to mention that later about a certain couple of words for a drinking game. But the first thing I want to say is, in Japanese anime, how many times has Tokyo been blown up?
I don't know.
Wait. By the way, did you just say drinking game? Are you trying to get me killed over here?
I do have a question for everybody. I know the answer from Curly Girl, but from everyone else, when was the first time you watched Akira? How old were you? Where did you see it? How did you get your hands on it?
So you're talking about the car, not the movie.
I know. My pronunciation.
Well, the funny thing is, I just watched some of the dubbed on Tubi. The way that they pronounce things in the dub versus the subtitled is different. It's like Canada, and then they say Canada, you know. But anyway, I watched it.
Canada.
I went to visit when I was in college. I went to visit my friend at another college, and he seemed to just be aware of all these things from, Asia. Basically, he was the first one to show me The Killer and Hard Boiled. And, I had no idea. I was just like back then, if your video store didn't have these things, it was hard to even be aware of them. And so we watched Akira, and I was just like blown away by it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Should I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it back in like 96, 97. It was on VHS, of course. So that was, a different experience than today with HD and everything else. And they're doing HD remasters now, which I'm interested in. But yeah, first time I saw it was completely blown away. Movies like that, Ninja Scroll. I always expected there would be more that would come along, but there really hasn't. Nobody put in that type of effort, the detail in the backgrounds, the characters, and like more than just surface level action. Just totally changed everything in terms of inspirational stuff in general.
Yeah, at the time I was very heavily into anime. Anime was a new thing, and it was kind of hard to find. But Akira, I remember watching it actually probably pretty soon after it came out. This was at least the late 80s, 89, maybe 90 when I first saw it, and probably I don't remember exactly where. I think I had it on a videotape that was probably second or third generation copy from the original. Back then we traded tapes and even bought tapes that were copies of a copy of a copy sometimes. But yeah, like Mark said, it was such a revolutionary movie in the terms of animation and very fluid animation, and it was something just an amazing story, and really just even I think probably the original when I saw it wasn't even subtitled or dubbed. It was raw Japanese, and it was still such a fascinating watch.
Mm-hmm. I wonder where you got it from, because for those who don't know, Fitz is my older brother, and he's about 5 years older than me. And I just remember coming out into the living room, and Akira was on the television. I didn't know what I was looking at. And now it makes sense to me when I think of my memory of that, not understanding the movie because you were watching it in Japanese. I thought it was just, maybe I was too young to understand what was happening in the movie.
Yeah, trust me, I probably didn't know what was going on either.
And I do remember you having mangas. The first time I saw mangas were you brought home. But did you get those from when you worked at the hobby shop? Or how did you get the first mangas that you were getting in the 80s?
Yes. Actually, well, yes. There was, when I worked at the hobby shop, right around the corner in the same complex was a comic book store. And they had Japanese mangas and stuff in there. It was very rare to see that at the time. And so I think I would pick up a few here and there, and wherever else I could find some. I think also for a time when I was, Mark, I was going to school in Boston, and there was some stuff around there too. There was a few shops that sold models and that kind of stuff. And so I pick up a few things there as well. It was like the only place other than that one little comic store that I would find that stuff. Oh, and sometimes Star Trek conventions of all places. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, Star Trek conventions, you'd find people selling. There were no anime conventions, at least in the East Coast.
No, not back then.
Yeah. So you go to a Star Trek convention, you see some weird vendor from New York or something that had all these Japanese stuff. It's like, whoa, this is really interesting.
You guys mentioned about how revolutionary that it looked. I noticed that, when I was looking up for information for today's stream, I found out some information about it. Some of the animation that we had in the US that we considered animation was just so because they used rotoscope, like Heavy Metal, if you remember Heavy Metal. And rotoscope is when they actually record actors' movements and then they just animate over the actors' movements. Whereas with Akira, what they did that really changed the game is for regular hand-drawn animation, the standard at that time was 12 frames per minute and per second. I think it's per second, 12 frames per second. But in Akira, they used 24 frames per second. So it just made it so much more dynamic. And then they also created these, I don't know how to describe it. In animation, usually there's no camera, so you don't adjust for the camera. But with Akira, it was animated as if there is a camera in the way that the animation would zoom in and zoom out and pan like as if there's a camera there when there isn't. So I think
very
that's
cinematic.
Yeah, you could see that in the trailer. The chase scenes when they're going over the bridges, the buildings in the background change perspective as if it's a camera moving.
Yeah, I always like Japanese animation because it's very detailed, but to get a detail, it suffered in the frames per second. Usually it was pretty low. And Akira was so unusual that it was, Disney-esque in its fluidity of animation, but still maintained a lot of the detail.
That's what helped it transfer to the Western audiences was that level, I think, of the detail. Just the focus that they had with all of that. And it's a huge budget too. I think it was like an $8 million budget, which was like a huge commitment on the part of whoever produced it. I think it was Toho brought it here, I think. But with a budget like that, they were able to just take this to a much higher level than. There was a lot of good anime in the 80s, but this was something different.
Yeah, I guess you could buy a lot of animator farms for that money.
A lot of people. Yeah.
Draw, monkey, draw.
I have a couple comments here. Terrence says, gorgeous movie.
Yeah, it looks so good, right? It does look really good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put the comments up, but there's a little bit of a lag. I apologize for that. I usually put the comments on the screen, but if it's not working today, I might just have to read through them. There it goes. And Tony Man says, I watched this trailer and my first thought was WTF is going on. Animation, however, is awesome.
Right.
Brian Renard Davis says, at Lady Shasha, what's up? And Terrence Miguena says, I saw it on TV in the mid-90s, have not seen it since, but it was very impressive. Not sure which cut it was. Remember because the Dean Cain Superman had started then. He's talking about he remembers that time period. Tony says, the first anime I ever saw was Battle of the Planets.
I remember that.
I don't remember that one. I remember...
what the people that are dressed up as birds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, the first one was Sailor Moon.
The first?
Which is Curly Girl's younger than us. She's a millennial.
Okay.
Mark, are you technically a millennial too?
Oh, hands.
I'm 43, so maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, you're
older millennial.
You're a cusper. You're in the cusp.
Okay.
You could claim either way.
I'm still a 70s child.
35. I'm not that young. Stop.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughters used to watch Sailor Moon on like constantly.
I used to watch Sailor Moon in college.
We lived in a little apartment too. It's like you couldn't get away from it. It was one after the other, one after the other.
So I'll say you haven't lived until you've seen the live action Sailor Moon.
Oh my goodness.
What? I didn't even know they made one of those.
There is one. The Japanese made one.
Oh.
I think it's one season, and it's
It's got to be terrible.
it's it's bizarre.
I haven't seen that, but I have seen some great cosplays. Just recently, Megan Thee Stallion was dressed as Sailor Moon for her concert in Japan, and Lizzo also dressed as Sailor Moon. And there's a WWE wrestler, I think her name is Sasha Banks, that came out to the ring, also dressed as Sailor Moon. And that's all this past year.
Wow.
Oh god.
Pretty
Yeah.
popular. Well, I think they have a series just came out again. There's a new revision or something
Mhm.
recently.
There was
That's
a
what
few years. I thought they've done it a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many versions. I don't know. I can't keep up, but I heard that they had a new one.
Mhm.
There's
Sailor
some
Moon, Sailor Mars, whatever. Sorry, go ahead. Anyway, I wanted to address Tony Man's comment. WTF? Even watching Akira without the trailer, just the movie itself you got to watch it a couple of times just to really figure out what the heck is going on here. And
yeah, I feel like I have to rewatch it like a lot more times than I have so far. I've only seen it once, like 2 hours
Mhm.
ago.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
we
go
were-
ahead.
Oh, okay. We were talking earlier how the part of it is why it's so jarring. You've got these big ideas, and they're just trying to convey it through a couple of scenes. The manga is huge. It's 2,000 pages. So they created the movie. Basically, the movie is just book 1 and 6. And in between, they kind of have a couple of scenes. And that's where like the 40-minute, like hour mark, people get confused because they're really skipping massive amounts of story. It's really, the movie is really only the first half of the story. There's a whole second half where a lot goes on, and it gives room for a lot of these ideas to just kind of spread out for you to kind of slowly absorb them while there's a lot of quiet pages. And here it's just hitting you so fast. Every scene is so intense that it's jarring. That's when I watched it the other day, and I was like, man, this is jarring, compared to the manga. It's so condensed, and still it's a full-length movie.
The manga went on for a long time after the movie ended, right? Like the events in the movie, the manga still went on, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, for like another 1,000 pages. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's a terrific story. There's whole characters that are completely cut out of the movie that are huge and are like really important. You might see like Lady Miyazako. She is the preacher with the big hair and the glasses. She's in
That was
like
a woman?
yeah. Well, she was unfortunately voiced in the American version by a man. Don't ask me why. And she's a huge character. She's actually like the anti-Akira. She's on the other side, and she has an entire team that she's training in like telepathic powers. And they have an entire arc where they go and eventually face Akira. I mean, there's big changes because this came out early, so it influenced how he wrote the rest of the book, and kind of vice versa. I mean, in the book, Akira is alive. He's frozen. He's not, but he's not dead. He's not
discombobulated.
No, and so he actually leads a revolt against modern society with the team behind him and everything else. So yeah, there's a lot more that happens after, but they kind of, like I said, just covered book 1 and 6 and kind of brought together like that.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some stuff missing, like that cult that you were talking about. They seem to have.
Yeah, they have a huge role, including like Kay, who's the medium. She's trained by Lady Miyazaki. There's whole sections where she's not just a medium who just is a medium. She's like helped by Lady Miyazaki. Miyazaki is like the biggest cut because she's actually a 19. She's actually one of the numbered kids who grew up.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, she's a real important person, but has absolutely no time for her here.
Yeah.
Now that you say that she's one of the 19, one of the numbered kids that grew up, it reminds me of all the works that have borrowed from Akira, like Stranger Things, like Chronicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that one season, I'm not caught up on Stranger Things, but the season a lot of people didn't like where you met some of the other kids with the different powers. I kind of thought that was pretty cool in a way, almost like setting up like a whole spinoff. Could have been, we've kind of seen that before, but I thought it was pretty cool. And I never really made the connection to this film. That's pretty cool.
Well, if you
Yeah.
watch season 4, they get even more into the backstory of 11 when she was at the facility with the other kids, and you find out the identity of who's number 1.
Yeah. Stranger Things is like every season is almost exactly the same. Somehow I'm loving the new season. I haven't finished it yet, but it's exactly the same as the other ones. But I just like Vecna. He's cool. He likes music. There's a lot of interesting things there. But yeah, there's so many things borrowed from this movie that it's almost like the Matrix. Like you don't really realize how much has been recycled into popular culture from this movie. Like the motorcycle slide move that happens early on in the movie has been copied in 100 different places. You know, so there's so much that's been taken, you know, from this. And,
yeah, it had such an impact on the West. Yeah.
Now, what do you think? Do you think the influence went another way? Do you think this film was influenced? I mean, there is a little nod, I think, to with the clown gang to the Joker, right? There almost has to be.
Oh, I never thought of that.
I mean, the Joker's been such an animated form. He's been around for decades. So I think maybe that was a little homage. Do you think there are any other things that this film borrowed from the West?
80s, not from the West per se, but from 80s anime. There were some real big ones like Nausicaa, I think, and other ones that came out right around the same time. Big robots and other things. So a lot of the elements are taken from earlier animes right from the same 80s time period, but they have that spin of the political angle. I mean, the political side is not something that really was there. They really kind of love technology, and this movie really kind of has it with more of a leery eye towards technology. So I mean, they borrowed a lot from their own genre at the time, and then once they crossed over, there was a lot more that we took from it. But it was kind of an insular group at that time, you know.
Right.
Yeah, there just seemed to be some morality plays going on in the movie when I watched it. Yeah, because I hadn't seen it in a long time before we decided to do this live streams. Like, well, I had the DVD as a matter of fact, but I hadn't watched it in years, maybe decades. And it's interesting watching it as being older than the first time I watched it, as some more seasoned adult. Watching it's like, wow, this is a really smart movie, and there's some really interesting morality plays going on here in the subtext of it. I was really impressed.
Another big character is Neza. So Neza's kind of, he's working with Ryu and Kei, and it's only in that one scene that Ryu reveals that he's really not a rebel, that they're actually working for a political elite that just happens to be an opponent who wants to displace the current group. So Neza actually has a huge role in the books as well. He's a backstabber. You see him shoving all that money into that briefcase. He's just a greedy politician, but he, has his own angle with everything. He's starting the revolution, but really only to put himself back in power and to keep the system alive. So the rebels aren't even rebels. At least they think they are, but they're being controlled by political elites with other agendas. And
they're being manipulated.
He later goes on to take shots at Akira, and he has a huge arc as well where he's scheming and wheeling and dealing. And he's another character that's just really minor in the movie, and it's just major in the book.
Yeah, it's interesting. It makes sense that there'd be some more they'd be fleshed out in the books a bit more for some of those characters.
Yeah.
But it sounds like
they made a second one. If they made a second movie, they could easily make 2 hours of the rest of it. Just continue it. It would maybe bookend it a little bit, but there's just so much more there. The
only thing is they seem to imply that a bunch of characters no longer exist or something at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure what happened, if that's the way it is in the book or it was just a waving of the hand kind of thing.
It is, but essentially what they'd have to do is the next movie would have to have, it would be an amended movie where they would actually take that end part and kind of put in the middle a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh.
There's literally a whole revolution that happens,
I don't think they should do it in a movie form. I actually think it might work better as a series, but a series on Amazon, because Amazon has the brass cojones to really do it. Whereas Netflix kind of PG-13s everything.
Yeah.
So I would love to see, and also
Prime is good.
I want it to remain taking place in Neo Tokyo. I think one of the issues that I have is whenever they announce that they want to do a remake in America, they want to reset it in New York. And the last time I heard they wanted to star Justin Timberlake, and I was like,
No,
Asian Americans exist.
Yeah.
Japanese
have to
Americans
say-
exist. Even if you're gonna put it here, you literally can still keep the characters. Tetsuo and well, Akira's not really a character. He's more like a he's there, but we don't really get to meet him.
it's like an
And Kaneda and
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah, like literally
Dragon
the whole
Ball Z is all I have to say. Dragon Ball Z
Oh, yeah.
American adaptation. No, terrible.
Death Note live action Netflix adaptation. No more.
yeah.
Cowboy-
You could do
Cowboy
it.
Bebop,
Keep it
anybody?
animated. Keep it animated like Invincible on Have you guys seen
that's
Invincible
terrific. Oh, yeah.
on
It's fantastic.
Amazon Prime? Yeah, do something like that.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop, terrible. Oh, did
I
anybody
didn't
see that one?
even watch that one.
I have-
No,
I saw one
don't do
episode and noped out of there.
no.
Don't do it. If you want to kill your dreams as a child,
Mhm.
watch that one.
Yeah.
So
Now,
bad.
this one doesn't-
I watched it.
This one doesn't necessarily count as an anime, I don't think, but it feels like an anime, and that's The Last Airbender. And
Yeah.
I've like that turned me off of M. Night Shyamalan for like ever.
My
Like, how
God.
dare you? How
He
dare
had
you?
a hard slide. He had a hard slide. I think he's trying to bring it
Yes.
back now.
Why did he do that? That was so...
Halfway through The Village, his career cratered. The first half of The Village is perfect. The second half of Village, I don't know what happened, and then he was in the dark for a long time. He did that Will Smith movie. That was terrible. Oh, God.
I agree with you about The Village. I like it all the way through. I think it was.
You like it
good.
all the way through?
Yeah,
Even
I
the,
like-
the eight twist at the end? Oh,
I
God.
like the twist at the end of The Village.
But there's eight of them.
Oh, well, I like the main one. I like the main twist.
I
Okay.
like,
Okay.
I like The Village. I stand by it. But the
Yeah.
Will Smith movie, on the other hand, that was
Yeah,
atrocious.
the After Earth was after. I felt like I was After Earth when I was done with that one. I
I
I
have
need to
not
take a
seen
nap.
After Earth.
The story I heard about Avatar is his kids wanted him to make it. They were big fans of
Yeah,
the
but he
cartoon.
did. But it seemed that he
Yeah.
didn't watch the cartoon at all. At
Oh, that's
all.
secondary.
It was just poor scripting because everybody says,
Mhm.
"Hi, I'm Joe from the Fire Sign, and this is what I do," and that's what everybody says. And then the movie's over. They're like, "Next movie, we'll learn about more people." Nothing happened. It was just really
Mhm.
badly scripted. And
The
it wasn't
effects
that-
were
it
bad
wasn't that
too.
scripted.
So I got
Yeah,
a question
yeah.
for you. Which one do you think is worse, the Last Airbender adaptation or the what's that movie with Goku?
Dragon Ball.
Oh, Dragon
yeah,
Ball
what's
Z.
that
That was terrible.
I never
That's
saw
the
it.
worst one.
live action?
That was some cultural appropriation disaster right there. That was bad news. That should not have gotten made. In fact, they keep trying to make Akira, and it's been
Mhm.
in development hell for 20 years. And I'm like, leave it there.
Leave it alone.
Leave it there.
Leave it. Leave it.
It doesn't need an adaptation. It really doesn't. It's terrific as it is.
I mean,
And someone technically did kind of adapt it. The movie is called Chronicle. They just pretended like they didn't steal
That's true.
the whole thing from Akira.
They-
I was like, that's actually a pretty decent Akira adaptation.
Yeah, they did rip it pretty good there.
Mhm.
best way to rip it is to not even say you're ripping it. Pretend like
Yes.
it's your original concept.
You do a Michael Bay. He did that movie The Island, was
Mhm.
basically
Oh,
a remake of Parts the Clonus Horror. When the
Okay.
when the producers approached him and said, "Yo, you stole our idea," he just started shooting money at him. Like, okay, like, all right, whatever. I know, guilty.
What do you want?
How much do you
Yeah.
want?
Go buy yourself something nice, kid.
That's interesting. Tony Man says, I just read Akira influence in pop culture. Kanye West's Stronger video was one. I also wonder if Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson's Scream was another.
Could be, yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
question.
A lot of James Cameron, Spielberg have come out and said that this was
Mhm.
revolutionary for them, and they try to incorporate elements into their movies. You know, it was groundbreaking for anybody who saw it in the business and fans and everything.
I mean, they always steal from anime. Like when they did, when Darren Aronofsky did Black Swan, he
Yep.
borrowed
Mhm.
many elements from Perfect Blue. I mean, it's not the same
Yeah.
story. Don't think it's the same story. I think the story itself is very different, but he just borrowed like visually so many elements from it.
Mm-hmm. Terrence says Crying Freeman, I recall, wasn't too bad.
I
He
haven't
also
seen that.
says, or
Sounds
so I'm
familiar.
told.
Yeah, I remember that being popular.
Yeah, I know the name. I don't know if I've ever seen it, but yeah, that sounds familiar.
Terrence says, Mr. Dan, I once read a novel called Spares that was quite similar to The Island.
Interesting. Maybe they
To
both
me,
copied off of that.
If I watch The Island, I always feel like it's ripped off from something. I can't put
Mhm.
my finger on what, but I always feel like they got it from somewhere.
Parts of it reminds me of Logan's Run, and I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see that.
King Gore says Akira directly inspired the whole aesthetic of online lo-fi hip hop. I can see that with the animations that they use. Yeah.
I'd say so. You know, one other book that a lot of people might not know about is I'll just plug it because it's one of my super favorites. This came out before Akira.
Domo.
This is called Domo, and this is about telekinetic. It's by Katsuhiro Otomo, and it's just it's basically about a telekinetic little girl and a telekinetic old man in an apartment complex who go to war, a little war that nobody knows about. And it's just between the two of them fighting. And it's like he ripped off himself. He just made it on a much bigger global scale for Akira. But Domu's all in black and white, and it's amazing. He drew the whole thing, and it's kind of the precursor to the bigger world play that is Akira.
It's interesting.
It's great.
Oh, Mark,
Unfortunately, he didn't draw that much. Oh no, sorry. Unfortunately, he didn't do that much art. If you look at all of his stuff, he has a couple animated things, a couple really small things here and there, but there's really not that much from Katsuhiro that's him. He has a small body of work. It's really good, but it's really small.
I'm going to take a break for a moment because I have to talk about this contest. There we go. Black Lagoon TV is sponsoring a contest for 2 VIP tickets to Universal Halloween Horror Nights, September 8th. So this is kind of your last chance to participate in this contest. In order to participate, you just have to follow and subscribe to their YouTube channel, follow them on Instagram, and link to their most and tag 3 friends. And I guess link to their most recent post and tag 3 friends. And then there's a hashtag that they've put on the screen there. And even if you do not win what they're calling RIP tour tickets, if you are already going to Universal Halloween Horror Nights and you wear their merch, there are also exclusive giveaways for just being seen in their merchandise or uploading a picture yourself to Instagram in their merchandise. And here is a look at their store and their different sweatshirts, t-shirts, colorways for men, women. I didn't see kids just yet, but I'm sure some of the smaller sizes you could probably use for kids. And there's also coffee mugs, backpacks. There they go. But like I've been saying all week, my favorite are the fanny packs because of the colorways, because I like pastel colors and bright colors. And I am nostalgic for the 80s, so I guess that's why the fanny pack appeals to me. There's also a decal for your laptop, and they've been super generous to give me a discount code, and the discount code is FREQ 20 for 20% off of anything that you get on their website. So that's FRQ 20 for 20% off of their merchandise. And thank you again. Shout out to Black Lagoon TV.
Awesome.
Oh,
Nice.
So we can't talk about Akira without talking about the music, which
I
is
was gonna bring that
bizarre
up.
and awesome at the same time.
Mhm.
It's terrific.
Well, I found out.
Traditional.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Future synth. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's both. It's traditional and future synth at the same time. I had the CD back in high school, and it's just weird, and it's great. And that's another thing that made it stand apart from all the other anime that was out there. Was it was so different, and it had a lot of traditional sounds as well as the futuristic sounds in there too.
Yeah. I found
What the hell is that?
I found out today that the composer is not only a musical composer, but also a scientist, and that he used what he called, I had to write it down, hypersonic sounds that your human ear can't even hear, but that your body responds to because of frequency waves. So he put all these sounds in there that our bodies are responding to, even though our ears can't hear those extra sounds.
interesting.
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah.
Psychoacoustics.
It's such an important part of the film. You know, it opens and you're like, okay, this looks pretty cool. And then when that first motorcycle chase happens, it's the like we said, the cinematic look of it and the music, and you know, the headlights blurring. It was like a sensory overload the first time you see it. It's like, wow, this is totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, I guess you call it impressionistic
Yeah.
presentation that they give you.
But I love the way that music is such an important part of the anime world, to the point where they have concerts just to hear the works from anime shows and movies.
Yeah.
You know, and the composers are like so super legit too. You know, I put on I listen to Yoko Kanno a lot, who of course worked on Cowboy Bebop. And my dad likes opera music, and I think it's called Babylon. I forget which anime it's from, and he's like, oh, who's this? He's thinking it's like some classic opera music from, like, you know, the 40s or something. So I had to tell him it was from what he would call a cartoon. You know?
Yeah, Yoko does some really. She's a genius, I think.
Yeah, no, she's like genius level.
Yeah,
It's
there's
amazing.
a couple of things from Gundam she's done. It's really good, and it was something else. Trying to remember. Oh, Macross as well. She's done some stuff where it was really, really good compositions for the anime stuff. So yeah, there's a story when I my first semester at university in Florida. I struck up a conversation with a guy right across the hall, and turns out we started talking about Akira for some reason. I don't know why. I don't remember how it happened. And I said, well, hey, I've got the Akira soundtrack. And he goes, you do? He's like, yeah, I'll make a copy for you. And ultimately, that guy became one of my best friends ever. And we're still extremely good friends to this day. And so I guess I like to say Akira brought us together in a sense.
That's great.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I have the soundtrack on CD, but I haven't listened to it in a long time. I hadn't thought about it in quite some time. I need to rip it and stick it on my phone or something. Some work music.
Actually, has anybody seen?
I'm trying to think of if I could work along to it.
Yeah, if it's not too loud.
Yeah, it's definitely mood music. I mean, yeah.
It's funny, at the end, I was watching the credits when I was watching the video, and it had the normal music you hear throughout the scene, and then they go into this really traditional sounding Japanese music from like really old, from maybe the 20s or something.
Yeah.
It was really old. Like, whoa, that's a turn.
Yeah, a lot of drum work is just terrific.
Yeah.
And that's really where I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah. And just couple years after this, of course, the Ghost in the Shell soundtrack was amazing too.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of drums,
Yeah.
yeah, I used to I drove my family nuts listening to that.
That's well, it's a fantastic soundtrack. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I used to watch the concerts with like the 25 ladies lined up going ah. It would be like
body
again,
hurts.
again. Yeah.
And then people ask K-pop fans like me, how can you like this group? It has too many members. I'm like, what are you talking about? They have far less members than some Japanese pop groups.
I don't know. They're in the running.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you talk about Luna has like a lot of members, which, you know, if you're on Twitter, you've been told to stan Luna.
Oh.
I don't know. That's the thing. But actually, the anime actually led me into, in a strange way, into K-pop, because through anime, I started listening to Japanese music and listening to J-pop. And I still remember listening to, there was a Japanese singer named Kotakumi that she kind of did R&B type music, but it was Japanese R&B. And this was like back in like 2004. And I remember I was riding in the car with my friend. I'm playing Kotakumi for her. And she was like, hey, you heard this before? And she put her CD in that she had gotten in New York somewhere. And it was Rain. And a lot of people know Rain from the movie Ninja Assassin. But before Ninja Assassin, he had a huge music career in South Korea. And he also recorded in Vietnamese. And I want to say he might have recorded some songs in Japanese too. But I remember we used to go to IKEA for lunch because, you know, it's cheap. IKEA lunch was cheap. So we used to go to lunch at IKEA. And I remember driving in the car, and the first time I heard Rain, and that was like 2003, 2004. And now we're like in 2022, and I'm sitting here with a J-Hope mixtape shirt on. And J-Hope's one of the members of BTS, which is like worldwide successful right now. But I can track all that back to watching anime, because it opened me up to seeing other things coming from Asia.
Right.
You were mentioning movies that you didn't really understand when you were growing up, and for me, Akira translated to me, but Ghost in the Shell, I think it was like a couple years ago that I figured out what that was about. Ghost in the Shell, Aeon Flux, both of those, they were so inscrutable. I did not get it. It was pre-internet, and they were talking about such advanced ideas. I just did not understand it. It looked cool, but I didn't get it until like recently.
Yeah, there's some thoughtful movies. You know, you mentioned Ghost in the Shell. Another one is Pet Labor. Have you ever seen a Pet Labor movies? Not the TV show. Those are also very, very deep, thoughtful movies when you get down to it. The Japanese can be really I don't know, esoteric sometimes.
You know what? They don't use the medium. They use the medium as a medium. They don't say, "Oh, you're doing drawings. Oh, it's for kids." Right. They just don't have that veneer where they assume that because you're drawing, that somehow it's not going to be real. It can't tackle real subjects. It can't have violence or hypersexuality or tough topics. It's just a medium, and they use it fully. And I still think we're struggling with that here in the States. I'm still not really enthused. I mean, I like Paul Dini. I like some of the stuff he did on Dark Knight, but, you know, Batman stuff. But most of American animation is still boring. It's still locked into that ideology. It's so fixed in terms of being able to just not express adult themes. And, you know, they just did not have that limitation, and so they went with it. I think they did great.
Yeah, it's very much a story medium, you know.
Yeah,
for them, and it's I think they have a long history of telling stories. She put up a picture here. It reminds me of those Japanese woodblock paintings that they had.
This is a picture that Mark drew earlier today.
Yeah. I cranked it out. Now I can't take full credit here, because this is directly from one of the cells where he's putting his arm back together. So I literally just took the cell, threw it on the paper, and then did my drawing over it real quick, you know. And I've got a couple other renditions. I don't know if you've got any of those, but where I colored it.
Yeah, I have them, but I'm trying to pull them up. But like I said, my computer's funky today. It kicked me off. I'm trying to move to the next rendering.
Yeah, I gave you some.
It might kick me off again.
I should have sent you some.
Oh, that might be why.
Yeah, they're huge. I'm sorry, they're probably each like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not
like half a
letting
gig.
me advance to the next one.
I'm sorry. Well, I threw some of them in the chat so people got to see them. But I did like a colored version. I threw the
If
logo
it
on
ends to the next one, I'll put it back on the screen. You guys have a question from Terrence.
I'm sorry?
I'll continue to try to pull it up during the show. There's a question that Terrence has asked everyone. They say, just remember the manga tapes being more expensive to buy back in the 90s than regular movies. Was it like that in the US? Because Terrence is in Scotland, by the way.
Oh, Scotland.
I had the VHS, so it wasn't expensive.
Yeah, I remember a lot of the anime being the official releases from AD Vision or whatever was actually pretty pricey. A lot of them were.
Okay.
At least in early on. I think what happened.
That era.
Yeah, you young whippersnapper.
No, not that one. It was pretty cheap. The VHS was cheap. Once that company Manga or Toho took over, then they started that's a more of a finished one there.
Yeah.
Then they really started kind of making them pretty available. But yeah, it was later. Yeah. We're talking mid-90s. That's when I was really doing all my collecting.
Yeah. Later it became easier, and the video store started picking them up for rentals. But in Japan, they were really expensive. If you saw Japanese prices, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think demand was kind of crazy,
I'm just going to read the chat because it's taken too long for me to try to put them on screen like I usually do. Brian Renard Davis says Ghost in the Shell did have a great OST. And OST, I think, is what they refer to, like the soundtrack music. Am I?
Yeah.
Original soundtrack. Yeah, OST. Yeah. And Tony Man says Wu-Tang Clan had 7 members, which is true.
Oh, 7? Yes. I thought they had more.
No, they had 9.
They had 9? Wait, I can only remember. Hold on. The RZA, the Jizza, Ghostface Killer, Method Man, Oh Dirty Bastard.
Got Raekwon, Inspector Deck.
Yes, Raekwon the God, Inspector Deck. You God.
You God, yeah.
Confused Panda is confused.
Yeah.
They really were a clan, weren't they?
Apparently, it's about nine members of Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
And Tony Manso said, like I said last night, my first real foray into adult anime was Legend of the Overfiend. Go big or go home. It's Yorosoki Doji. I remember that because they put that in the video store right next to Akira and the Dirty Pair and there was another Project Echo. Like they didn't even separate it from like the children's. It was like, oh, it's cartoons. Put it together. That's how I stumbled upon that one.
I would have rent Project Echo and Ninja Scroll. Yeah, those are both cartoons.
Yeah.
I saw Ninja Scroll, and there's some tough scenes in there. When I was a kid, I was like, whoa, this is my mom thought I was going to watch something, that was going to be acceptable, and whoops. I said, there's some real tough scenes, and that's still probably, even though I love Akira to death, I love the books and everything else, I got to say, I think Ninja Scroll still remains my all-time favorite.
Really?
Really?
I got to go. I did watch that. I got to go back and rewatch it.
Just because the bad guys are just so interesting, and they have such fleeting lives, and they die so quickly. I mean, they have just like these moments on the screen where they're just amazing, and then they're gone. And I think that's the coolest thing about it is they're so short, and then they do their thing, and then they're out the door. It's kind of a weird movie. They've never made another one like it. They did a series with like Jubei, and it was not as good.
No.
But yeah, that's another one that I really love. Probably because it was probably that was the first anime I ever watched. So it was Akira came next after that.
That was your introduction? Was Ninja Scroll? Oh,
yeah.
Man.
It was shocking. Yeah. It was a lot to take in. So after that one, I was like, whoa, okay, you guys are serious. A lot of my friends had the New York aesthetic where they would go to the comic shops and the movies, the drive-in movies or walk-in movies, in New York, and they would bring that stuff back. The VHS is back. They bring them back to college campus, whatever. And I got to see a lot more than I had seen before, and I was like, this stuff is wild. I mean, the movie, the music, like Wu-Tang, Shogun Assassin, the movie, so it's all connected, with this type of.
I was like that with horror, especially when I lived in New Haven, because I could just take the Metro North into the city. So I would take the Metro North in to go to Chinatown, and that's where I would get. They weren't even actually. I'll show you. I have some here. They weren't even full like VHSs. They had something called VCDs.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember those.
Where the movie,
poor man's DVD.
Yeah, basically. So you go to Chinatown, you get like a VCD, like this one is Ju-on, and a VCD is the file format has less space on it than a DVD. So half the movie is on one disc, and the other half of the movie is on the other disc. Well, this is what we used to take the train and go downtown and get these because they weren't in the video stores at this time.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I was
so mad if I was watching Ju-on, and I bet you the first disc probably cuts off at like the most interesting part. I would go crazy.
Yeah. And then you had to be careful too because the DVDs they had like region 1 and region 2, and I think the region 2 is for Europe. I don't understand why they make technology that is like not universal. Why do we have different plugs in the US than in Europe? Why do we have different file formats? Like, why is there a Netflix, Australia and a Netflix America? Why can't I automatically see what they? It doesn't make
it's the money.
People watch the same thing.
They want people who have to pay the merchandising rights, and they want to charge everywhere, and some people don't want to pay. And I mean, it's weird.
That's true. Yeah, licensing fees and stuff.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
You get the geo blocker. You can get like any type of geo blocker, any type of online protection, and then you can watch everything everywhere. I'm so swamped with media. I haven't bothered, but.
My sister did that one time. We were trying to watch. It was Eurovision. Every time Eurovision comes on, she has to get a VPN so that we can watch Eurovision over here because it's not brought. They have a Eurovision YouTube channel, but if you don't have a VPN, you can't watch the Eurovision YouTube channel when they do the live Eurovision content.
That's silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
I hate that you get to pay for the VPN to watch stuff you want to watch. It was like. Tubi in certain countries don't have certain stuff, and like Netflix and all the other services. It's frustrating.
It is because you don't feel like you get anything for what you pay. You pay and you're like, okay. And, the other thing about VPN is I've been struggling because I know I want one. I want to get one, but I don't want anything to slow down my internet. I don't want to pay for internet that I'm getting slowed down because I'm slowed down because of
So, and already slow as fuck, so I'm not trying to pay.
I got a question because Tony Man asked. Well, first of all, Terrence said Wu-Tang Forever, and that's coming again all the way from Scotland. Wu-Tang Forever, and Tony Man says, "Didn't you show us one missed call? I thought I saw the VCD, and I looked through them. I have Face,
classic movie, classic.
Ichi the Killer."
Remake.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. Yeah.
Yes, Ichi the Killer. You had to, that's for a hardcore.
That was a tough one.
Yes.
I was too young for that one too.
This is one of the Tomy movies. I don't know if you're familiar with Tomy. There's like a whole series of Tomy. There she is in the back being reborn, and like she never dies.
None of the movies did the justice to the manga, though. I'm sorry. Tommy manga is so good. The movies are like, it's okay.
This one is the Eye.
You're saying that the comics are better? Girl, you're saying the comics are better on that one?
Hell yeah. With Tommy, hell yeah. The comics are like so good. The movie's okay, but nah, it doesn't.
Okay.
And I do have one missed call. The original one missed call.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody watched the American remake. It does that movie so dirty.
Anyway, so I have a confession to make about Akira, and that's this guy.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
One of the things about that movie is that motorcycle. I have a hard love affair with that motorcycle that he drives around in. really hard. Ever since
Yep.
I saw that, it's just one of the awesome pieces of machinery I've ever seen. And I'm not really a motorcycle person per se. And I found this some years ago. This is really nice. It's partly die cast. It's got the little thing flips
let
up
me
on
see
the front.
if I can get you to get larger. Oh,
Yeah, I've looked at some on eBay now and again, but none of them are cheap. So
Yeah,
over the years.
I got lucky. Maybe about 15 years ago, one of the Japanese, there's a company called Hobby Link Japan. I'm pretty much sure I got it from there,
Mm-hmm.
and they had them for sale. Even then, it probably cost me probably $100 to get this stupid thing.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. It's got a working suspension on it,
Oh, wow.
in the front and rear. It's got, like I said, the thing pops up like in the movie, and it has removable panels. You can pull off the panels to see the mechanics on it as well, which is really, really neat.
Yeah.
It's got a flip up headlight in the front if you pull the thing off, and the seat. And so, one day I've been very seriously considering even building one of these for myself to drive around.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, there's been a couple in Japan. Some people have built various replicas and even some drivable ones. Some are better than others, but I really want one. It's just a cool looking vehicle. It's probably not the most practical thing in the world. It's only a single seater.
Right,
It's kind of long. It's like a chopper.
Yeah.
What's that?
I was saying it is. It's like a chopper with the length. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, it's got very long. And I had done some back of the napkin design work and stuff on it, and I said, yeah, some things are just not going to work all that well. But this is a toy, so the toy has some limitations, so things were changed. But I have an engineering friend of mine. He's a mechanical engineer, and I talked to him a little bit about it, and he says, yeah, well, I'll be able to do something with this. We'll have to make some small changes. But yeah, so that one of the reasons why that movie is stuck in my head so much, or it's some not really stuck in my head, but more of made such an impression on me was as somebody who likes mecha, and that motorcycle was just to catch me out.
Yeah. Well, you have to figure at the end of the movie, Kaneda is actually doing better against Tetsuo than like the whole military.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I mean, he's like getting in there and like taking some shots and getting away,
Yeah, he strikes a couple of hits on him too.
Yeah.
Did he slice off his arm at one point, or
No, that was the soul.
was it the soul? Oh, the soul did that. Yeah. There was a neat scene that after the first time Kaneda shoots at him with the little laser cannon thing. I guess he stole it from the military because they were using it earlier. There's a neat scene. They don't really explain it, but if you look at it closely, you can see what's going on. Because he fires a few times and he runs out of energy. So, the battery's dead. And later on, they're recharging it with one of their motorcycles. You see the kid revving up the motorcycle. There's a bunch of wires going to it, and they're revving it up, and eventually the motorcycle catches fire. I guess it overloaded. And he quickly goes, "Oh, my batteries!" And he grabs and unplugs the laser gun from the motorcycle. So that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of thought put in that movie.
The character of the Joker there, who you see at the beginning as the rival gang leader, like later on, after in the books, he becomes kind of on the team with Kaneda. And he actually upgrades all of their bikes because he's actually like a serious engineer. He actually hooks all their bikes up so that they can kind of go back and kind of running through the city and everything. So, yeah.
I like somebody jumps on his motorcycle with the crowbar and goes to hit him. He goes like, what you got, kid? Is that all you got? You got any good other? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
I'm sorry. Some of those scenes actually did remind me a little bit of Mad Max and the Road Warrior, where you had guys on moving vehicles.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. That could have been just 100% coincidence. I have no idea.
Yeah. When did Mad Max come out?
81? 79?
Mad Max was 79, and
Mad
Max 2, aka the Road Warrior, was maybe like 2 years after that, I think.
So it definitely predates it.
Yeah. I think all three movies predate it. No.
Yeah. Tony Man says, "Hey, I get those free VPNs." Terrence says, "I had Soul Plane on VCD." Right, I'll get my coat. I have a funny story about Soul Plane. I got a Allegedly, I got a DVD of Soul Plane in New York from somebody who was selling them on the sidewalk and sent it to my sister when she was in college in Florida a week before it came out in the movie theater. And she said, "How did you do this?" I said, "It's New York. I don't know." It was $5.
You can get a copy of any movie in New York long before it's out. It's just a thing. Like you walk around, there's always somebody selling it.
Yeah.
And Dawn is here. Dawn says hello to everyone. Oh, Lordran is here. Says, "Hey, everyone," and my young wife and Lady Shasha.
Once and for all, who's your motherfucking wife?
Lordran says he has several wives on YouTube. he likes his wives to stay on YouTube.
Okay.
Tony Man says, like Candyman, Lordran is here.
Right?
And Terrence says his ears must have been burning.
Okay. So Mark, you got any good trivia from the Akira?
Geez, I don't know. I have a couple.
You seem to be the expert on this. Or Dan, if you too.
I have the book. So this is probably one of my favorite little things here. I have it's the Akira Club.
Let me see if I can get you larger, Mark.
Yeah. It's basically just a book of art, design, the graphics, the making of, basically like a source book
for the movie.
Which I absolutely love. And it was like one of those like limited edition things you have to apply for it. I got a lot of real classic pieces. I don't know if anybody knows about the Words and Pictures Museum. My parents took me there.
It's an aircraft carrier, it looks like.
Yeah. So essentially, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles creators had a museum for comic art that was up in Northampton for about 10 years. And it closed down, unfortunately.
Shasha,
hang on a second. Yeah, I hit the wrong thing. Sorry about that.
That's okay. But it had like the best collection of books. And that's where I got like the Akira phone books. So you could see that they're large.
Wow.
It reminds you of the Cerebus phone books, if you guys collect Cerebus at all. Which is like the longest running independent comic book. So you can see like this is what you're looking at in terms of a phone book, and there's 6 of these. So
wow!
I got them back here.
Oh, is that the manga compilation?
Yeah. So this is the whole thing. So these I bought these back in the early '90s at the Words and Pictures Museum, and it was the best place because it had this huge comic collection because it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles designers. And they're like, we're going to put all this art in here. We're going to put the best comics in here. We're going to make everything cheap. Kids could come. And we went a bunch of times. And that's where I got the books.
Can you hold that first book up again? Yeah, hold it up again, please.
Yeah, this is the Akira Club book. So this is kind of a one-off.
Yeah,
and it shows like, if I could find a good page for you, it has like kind of like breakdowns of the characters and like just all of his designs, all the drawing that goes into kind of building a book. I'm actually looking at potentially starting a comic next year with my brother-in-law and making it about like Black Vikings. And here's like a whole bunch of the covers and stuff like that.
Cool.
So, I mean, the cover designs on some of these were, because it was, released as in a comic book format, but yeah, it was, it was, brought together into larger editions. But making a source book is, a great way to build your world by building the characters and the locations all separately, and then, compositing it later. It's crazy. And there's pictures of like toys and stuff. I don't know if the stuff was even ever made. Here's Lady
There's a priestess.
Yeah. So there's so many little tchotchkes that you can't buy that are like shown in this book. I mean, yeah, these type of illustrations. Some of these were covers. Here's Tetsuo here. I mean, these are all uncolored, like the original ink designs and stuff like that. So I'm sure you probably can still find this book around, but this is another old one. And the other piece I have here is and I have no idea where I got this. This is the Akira poster book. And this has, let me just pull these out. Basically, like really old school, original designs. Posters. These are some of the covers here. They're all like the prints, stuff like that. So I kind of don't break these out too much, but I love them, and I was thinking about maybe framing some of these up. Some of these were advertisements for the book, and yeah, just he did so much terrific stuff during this really like few years. Where here's like the arm. This is super cool. I love this one.
Yeah, Akira.
And the mechanics of building something that is a cartoon to this degree of detail is kind of insane. So here's like the Akira vault and everything.
Yeah, there's the scene where he pulls the vault out and the animation on that. It's just really, really wonderful.
I would love to have a painting or portrait of the cityscape. Like there's a opening scene where you see like the skyline of Neo Tokyo, and it looks so beautiful.
So I actually have one criticism of the drawings, or not artwork. It was, for me, I've always found it hard to tell the males and the females sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that a boy or a girl?
The characters do look very similar to each other.
Yeah. Oh, she's got boobies. Okay, it's a girl.
Right.
Characters like Kay, sometimes in the movie you kind of have a double take. You're not sure because she wears the hat a lot.
Right.
You're not sure, like, is that a guy or Yeah, that was an issue.
I don't know if that was on purpose or just the animators were just being really, I don't know.
I think it's just the style of the facial structure, the way he draws them. He doesn't exaggerate like a lot of later anime where they make women like overly sexualized, and he doesn't do that. He almost pulls it back, and that kind of makes it tougher, especially when everything's moving and you have so many people of the same ethnicity in a shot, like 8 of them, and you're like, who's a guy, who's a girl? It's hard to tell.
Everything is just androgynous. Everybody's
there's some subtleties. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. Well, there's no blondes or redheads either, so you know.
Yeah.
That's in later anime where you have like someone with pink hair and blue hair and
it's real subtle. If you look closely,
I'm like, why they all have all these crazy colored hair?
I understand that they just did that to make it easier to identify. When everybody's Japanese, sometimes they kind of cheated a little bit to make a little more identifiable. Hey, that's Suzuki versus Azuko, because the hair's a little bit different color. Even though in real life they don't have blue hair.
That reminds me of the time my middle sister had to go pick my youngest sister up at preschool, and she said she walked into preschool and she said, I couldn't find her. They all looked alike. I just saw a bunch of little brown children with Afro puffs. I couldn't find which one was her.
Okay.
That was hilarious.
Oh man.
Yeah. What now? Is there anything out there that's relatively affordable that, like, because my son and I just watched it for the first time, and he, and he was actually president of the anime club in high school. He's in freshman in college now.
Oh, nice.
So he really enjoyed it. I mean, he really liked it.
After your question, I was gonna ask what he thought of it. He had never seen it before. It'd be interesting his thoughts.
Yeah. I'll see, like, when he comes home or when I go out and visit him. I'm gonna see if I can make a video.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah,
because I wanted to get a Gen Z person here, but I couldn't find one.
Yeah, he actually did a stream with Prim and I and Knight from Night Watch Zone, and he did like 90% of the talking.
Oh, that's great.
They were talking about more modern stuff mostly, So.
Yeah, but Mark, Dan, that's a good, interesting question. I was going to ask this kind of similar one. Is it like your compilation and stuff? Is that stuff still available? Is it hard to find? Any kind
I would say it's harder to find, but I don't think it's expensive. Okay. Again, like I said, these aren't the original ones. These are reprints that were repackaged. So, in the 90s, this stuff was all over the place. I'm sure you can definitely buy them. You probably can't buy them new, but you can buy them on eBay, I'm sure, for not that expensive. Right now, which is really strange, the comic market is getting super heated, and there's a lot of speculation that's come back into the market around all the releases of the movies. People are buying heavily into these real quick dips whenever a movie's announced. They're getting huge bumps and people are selling furiously. But this stuff, unless they announce a real Akira movie that's really coming out, I wouldn't expect you'd have issues getting this stuff. You'd have more trouble with the Cerebus phone books, but these I think you'd be able to get. Again, I'm not speaking from experience, because these are all, for me, these are all like 20 years old, but it's just not in demand. The funny thing is that Akira is almost becoming like a forgotten classic. What I mean is that as people go on, we remember them, we're older, but the next generation, they don't even know the references that it's referring back to this. This is stuff we grew up with, but they're not, they have their own stuff. And anime has exploded. It's exploded since this time. This was the thing that opened that door to all the stuff that's come after. And there's so much wild stuff that's coming out now. Great anime and all over the place. It's so there's whole channels and streaming channels where you can watch this stuff, and I can't even think of all the names of all the new modern classics that are coming out now. So there's so much.
I understand Akira was shown in the theaters back in the late 80s when it came out in America.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I think so. Yeah, there was. I saw something. I was looking to do some research. Apparently, it's probably very art house things and stuff, but still, it was very unusual.
Yeah. I thought it only came here on different digital media or non-digital media. As it was.
Yeah, it reminds me. The first anime I saw in the theater was Ghost in the Shell. You were talking about that before, and this was around late mid 90s, and we had to drive. I think we went almost to Tampa from Daytona, and it was an art house theater. I remember it was funny because all the women had short hair and all the men had long hair. That worked there. Anyway, this is interesting, and it was neat. It had a what do you call it? Before the show, they would play music. Not an intermission, but there's a term for it. I can't remember what it was, but there's this guy. We heard somebody playing a piano, and I was like, "Where's this piano music coming from?" And then we see this person rise up out of the floor playing a piano in front of the screen, in front of an elevator platform, and he did his little ditty for a few minutes before the movie showed. Wow! And then he went back down, and then they showed the movie. And
that's cool. It
was really cool. It was absolutely cool. It was like an old art house type of theater. I think it had 2 level seating and that kind of stuff. It was just a really cool. I think it was the only place anywhere near us that was showing this particular. It was part of the anime club. We went out to see Ghost in the Shell. I had never heard of Ghost in the Shell. I didn't know anything about it, and it ended up being just a really wonderful movie to watch in the theater. It's just really cool.
In a lot of ways, Ghost in the Shell is more popular and somehow more known. Maybe that's because it was made recently into a movie, here.
And you got all the spin-offs too. Yeah, all the spin-offs too, the standalone complex and this and that.
They've kept doing it.
Yeah. Akira was sort of one and done.
Alive. Yeah, that's the thing. Akira is like in amber. It's just there, and it's that's what it is.
Yeah.
But, I'm glad though. I'm glad because it's perfect. It's perfect in the sense of how imperfect. And everybody, one thing I love about it is every single character in the entire movie, they are a certain type of person, but the situation they're in is absolutely wrong for them. Everybody's got it wrong. The doctor's got it wrong. The general has got it wrong. The politician thinks he's in control. He's got it wrong. Akira's got it wrong. Every single character in the movie essentially is in conflict with their own environment and in the environment at large, and they're just trying to deal with it. Like nobody gets an easy ride. There's millions of dead that are not even spoken of. I mean, this is a cataclysmic event where millions of people are just being wiped out in the blink of an eye, and there's not even time to address it. Oh
yeah, you made a point. Something I noticed that in the beginning they showed the explosion that said something about World War III, but in the end it's like another explosion looks just like the one in the beginning. It's like, well, how many people got wiped out in that?
It's just like a cycle of birth and death and rebirth, and just somehow trying to continue to move forward amidst this thing. But it goes back to obviously the bombs that were dropped in reality, and so much of that echoes through this medium, especially, coming from Japan. I mean, there are people who have lived through past the apocalypse. Here we do post-apocalypse stuff, and it's more of a modern take. For them, it was more of a, this is what my grandparents went through and experienced coming out of an apocalyptic event.
I read that. I read that the writer was inspired by the aftermath of was it Hiroshima? Where
Nagasaki.
There's pages in the book where literally after those bombs go off, and in the movie it's 30 seconds, it's a minute. He has pages and pages of devastation that goes on before it subsides, and then people standing around just in silence. And there's so many pages of, they're just beautiful with almost no writing or words at all. It's just art. So that's the one thing that the books have, is just so much more room to let these huge things sink in. And the movie's great, but it's just breakneck pace. It's just, here's all the big bullet points.
It's like making a Lord of the Rings movie in just one movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it feels like. Yeah. But it's still good. It's still good.
Yeah, they did a really good job, and it's obviously from the impact it made on the zeitgeist, I guess you could say. They did a good job for what they had.
It's like they distilled down just the most important elements, and that's another thing that a lot of movies don't do. You have a lot of fluff in most movies. There's a couple of scenes where you could cut those and it doesn't change anything. I mean, there's not much you could cut out of this. Everything seems to need to be there for it to work. So, yeah, there's so many elements to it. Another thing that's taken out of the movie is the rampant drug use. In the comics, the drug use from both the street gangs is contrasted against the drugs that the government is feeding the telekinetic kids, and how it seems like drugs, everybody is hooked on something that's pulling them down. It's not glorified in any way. It's really, this is something that's hurting everybody in a different way.
They touch on that a little bit in one of the scenes where he Tetsuo goes back to the bar after he's realizes his power. He's asking for drugs and stuff from the bartender. So I thought that was interesting that that's really the first time in the movie they kind of imply the drug use that the kids have.
I feel like the only American director I think that could be trusted with even attempting to do an Akira movie would probably, let me take it back. He's not American. The director I'm thinking about is not American, but I think it was Paul Verhoeven that did RoboCop. That's the only person I could see doing.
He's like
doing
Akira. Denmark or something, isn't he?
Yeah. I know he's European.
I
heard that they were going to have Taika Waititi do it, and they got delayed to like.
No.
That's what I heard.
I love Taika. I love What We Do in the Shadows. I mean, to this day, that's an amazing film and TV series. What We Do in the Shadows. But he's comedy. You've seen what he's doing to the Thor movies. It's like. He's funny. He's very funny, but no, Akira's not a funny. It's not a funny ha type story. No.
My favorite would be like maybe Denis Villeneuve from if they give it the Dune level of approach. Dune, we're gonna build this world, then that's something. But I honestly think the hardest part about it is they have to maintain the Japanese sensibility on this. It has to somehow really be developed by somebody from that background. Honestly, it's one of the things I think if you move it out of where it is, it loses so much of what it is.
We need zombie Akira Kurosawa.
There you go.
Now, speaking of Dune, the David Lynch version of Dune still has a special place in my heart because I love the weirdness of it. Curly Girl, have you seen the 1984 version of Dune?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
You have to review it. I think you would like it because it's very weird. We're talking milking cats for no reason weird. Well, there is a reason why the cats have to be milked, but it doesn't come from the book. It's just something David Lynch added in the movie.
We went to the movies to see it, me and my friends.
I saw it too. I was 9 years old. My mother took us to see it.
No, we saw it at the same time.
I actually only saw it recently. Very recently, I saw it, and I was in shock by how cool. It's so weird. It is it's far out there for
when
Lynch.
when we talked earlier about movies that didn't make any sense, I was thinking
Yeah.
Dune too.
Yeah.
So you got to watch it like 5 times to realize what the heck is going on.
Well, because there's so much in the
books
book
are-
that they
that's
don't
another one.
explain in the movie.
Mhm.
They
It's
try to
so
do it a
weird.
little bit with voiceover, but in the book it talks about like a lot of sci-fi movies that talk about the future, like
Yeah.
Akira. Talk more about the technology, although Akira does talk about telepathy and telekinesis, and
Yeah.
that's the thing that comes up in Dune, the telepathy and how humans evolve through
Yeah.
like thousands and thousands and thousands of years into the future.
The weirdest people in Dune are the guys who travel through hyperspace or whatever you call it. They drive the ships, and they're basically gas tanks that are filled with gas, and they're able to navigate the skylines or whatever and go
Spacing
between
Guild, I think
planets.
they call it. Yeah.
The Spacing
Mhm.
Guild, exactly. And they
Yeah.
try to explain that in the book, and everybody comes up with their own idea in their head of what is this? It's some type of blob in a bucket, and this guy is
Mhm.
flying this plane, and he's the only one who could do it because he's in this
Mhm.
bucket full of spice. Like it was like, so everybody came up with their own idea of what that looked like. And
Well,
that
I
Dune
thought it was that
movie
the spice
crazy.
was mutating them. I thought that
Yeah.
they started out in humanoid form, but the spice and the travel mutated them into the gelatinous thing that they
I
become.
think so.
But their mind becomes more powerful. Their body degrades, but their mind becomes more powerful. It's wild
That's another
stuff.
crazy series. It's really cool. I don't know if they ever made
Mhm.
any comics of Dune. I would love to see them.
Yeah, there is.
They made a good
There's a graphic novel, Dune. I have the digital version
Okay.
on my iPad, but yeah, there's a
Okay.
graphic
I can
novel.
check that out.
Yeah. Well,
That could be neat.
I think there's a companion book to the documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune about the Dune movie that was never
yeah.
made.
It never
I
got
heard
made.
about that. Yeah.
Because he had
Oh yeah.
he had like a book like this full of sketches. Everything
Really?
was storyboarded. Everything was he planned everything out. And
Mhm.
I
He
don't
had
know.
a famous artist. I can't remember his name with the mustache,
HR
the black mustache. Not
Oh,
Geiger.
that's Salvador Dali.
He had
Yeah.
Dolly that was doing
was gonna-
design.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was going to go with
Yeah.
H.R. Geiger. I had read somewhere that he was going to work with H.R. Geiger, who did
He was
the
trying to
Alien
sign up
and
half of
Species.
Hollywood. He was
Mhm.
trying to sign up everybody for that
He was,
movie.
he was going to be like David Carradine and
Yeah.
Orson Welles. And it
wow.
was- yeah. But if that movie, if the people that got together and never to work on that movie that never was made, there never would have been a Blade Runner or an Aliens. It's amazing. Or an Alien. Yeah.
Oh wow.
A lot of the same people. Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. Oh, I guess it's
There's
good
a
it
lot
didn't
of
get made.
creative
'Cause-
people.
Yeah, I heard his version was just wild. Probably involved a lot of chemicals.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Salvador Dali end of it. Oh, for sure.
Well, that's a good idea. Well, it disappeared on me when I was trying to read it.
Yeah, I've been
There it is.
actually looking online.
Akira
They
in
had these,
4DX. I don't know if you guys have any
what's the,
have 4DX near you.
No, I don't know
4DX
what
is
that
4DX is we have one here in Orlando, 4DX Theater, and it's like it's regular 3D, but then in addition to 3D, the seats move in the theater, and then
cool.
also the environment changes. So like if there's an explosion, hot air will blow out at you. If it's raining, they will make it rain on you in the theater. If there's fog, it shoots fog out at you while your chair is moving. That's what I was telling my brother. If he had a 4DX theater, that's the theater to go see Top Gun in, because it's good. The chairs are going to move like in the plane. The only thing is there's certain ones you don't want to see, because I went to see the last Jurassic Park, and every time a dinosaur stomped on somebody, the chair was like kicking me in the back. This movie is kicking my ass.
That's how I watched Nope when the chairs were shaking.
Oh, you got to see Nope in 4DX?
Yes, the chairs were shaking. They sprayed water on us. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't even know I bought the tickets for it. I bought the
It
tickets.
sounds like fun.
I thought I bought the ticket. And
I don't think we have any of those in Connecticut.
Yeah, there's
I don't
only
know
a few in the country. There's like only like 8 of them in the US so
Yeah.
far.
But-
shaking, the water being sprayed on me. I'm like, what the fuck? I just did my hair. Why you all
Pay attention to your tickets. Yeah, I think there is.
That's like a theme park experience. That's awesome.
Yeah, I do believe there's one in my city, but I think it's across town, which is it's like an hour drive. But I'll have to do that.
4DX, man. That
Yeah.
sounds neat. I didn't even know that existed. That's really cool.
The woman that was sitting next to me, I don't think anyone told her that it was 40X because when the chair started moving, she started hollering.
No,
But the best were the row of little kids behind me. Somebody had a birthday party, and I took they all looked like maybe they were in 3rd grade. And every time a dinosaur popped up, they were screaming their little heads off. And I know they're going to remember this for the rest of their life. And then somebody took them to see these dinosaurs in the theater, and the chair was shaking every time the dinosaur. That would have, I can picture, like, for me, the biggest event movies I can remember from my young childhood would be Superman 2. And we had to sit in the first row because it was the movie was sold out. So we sat in the first row of Superman 2. I remember that. And I think Empire Strikes Back are the two that I remember, being real, like, event movies from when I was a kid.
For me, it was The Crow. That was. I think I wasn't supposed to be there for that one either. I think I was too young for admission on that one. That was scary for me. And Jurassic Park. I went to that with my mom, and I was like, "This is the best movie of all time." And I was like, "This is terrific."
So
the scariest. Go ahead.
This is, I think, the 40th anniversary of Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, and they're showing it in theaters the next couple of days, limited release. So if you really want to see it in the theater, look it up. Usually it's in limited release, but you just probably be showing in a theater near you somewhere.
I saw that in the theater when I was a kid, and all I remember is somebody got a worm put in their ear. I remember William Shatner yelling, "Khan!"
I gotta admit, I only know the Khan scene, and I've only seen the new one, so I am in a bad spot on this one. I gotta see the original.
Yeah. Well, you gotta watch the original episode with Ricardo Montalban.
Yes,
from the 1960s.
Yeah, Space Seed.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater too.
It's a good episode.
Speaking of that, have you all seen any of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds?
I've heard it's good, but I haven't watched it.
I saw a couple episodes.
I reviewed an episode of that. I forgot what the title of the episode was, but it was basically kind of like watching Alien and The Thing kind of mixed together, and they're chasing this alien around, and aliens, killing crew members. And towards the end of the, first of all, the alien burst out of this dude's chest. They beam this person up, and they have him in the medical, the sick bay, and it didn't burst out of his chest. I'm sorry, it burst out of its back. Copyright. It burst out of his back, not his chest.
Out of his back.
And it's running around the ship, killing people, and they're trying to capture it. And then maybe 3/4 through, they're like, "We have to capture it." And they're like, "What is it?" And they're like, "It's the Gorn." And I'm like, that is not the Gorn.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I remember a man in a rubber costume
rubber
throwing boulders.
Suit, right?
Yeah, the face barely moved, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The face was like totally stiff.
Yeah.
They
made the Gorn. It now looks like a mutated dinosaur from Jurassic Park. The special effects were great. Very, very, very good. I don't know whether they did a combination of animatronics and CGI, but the effects look great for the new Gorn. That's now a back-bursting alien on Strange New World.
There's some canon issues with that. I heard about that. And so
I heard that was a decent series, and then I heard that Picard was terrible because Picard wrote it or something.
Yeah, everybody says it's bad.
This series was really bad.
I watched the first season. I didn't really care for it all that much, and I heard the second season was even worse. So.
Yeah, my mother doesn't even like Picard, and she likes all things Star Trek, like everything Star Trek, even Lower Decks, even what's that show that's making fun of Star Trek?
The Orville?
Yes, the Orville. She even loves the Orville.
Orville's
but she
awesome.
does not. But she does not like Picard. I haven't met anyone yet that likes Picard. The show Picard. Yeah,
the original stuff was great. I used to watch reruns of Next Generation all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my favorite. I like some Deep Space Nine too, but mostly the Next Generation was just so good. And I loved it.
You guys ever watch Babylon 5?
I have seen it through my mother. When I go over her house, she's got it's always, if it's not Star Trek, it's going to be Babylon 5. If it's not Babylon 5, it's going to be Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah, Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica, the old one and the new one. And what else was like everything? It's just sci-fi on top of sci-fi. She even got think it's the reason why she got Paramount Plus, because all the Star Treks are on Paramount Plus.
I was so annoyed when it was on. I was like, another streaming service? Like, I got like 6 of them. I don't need like another 3.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's too many of them.
Too many. I thought they were
way too
going to be like consolidated at some point.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, they're consolidating the wrong ones. They're consolidating HBO with Discovery Plus, and I'm like, and HBO is saying, "Oh, we're going to drop most of our scripted content and just do reality shows." And I'm like, no one has asked for an HBO reality show.
HBO we're talking about? Like, this is where you go for like the really good content, and you're telling me that they took over. The guy who took over is like a straight up reality guy. He's like a reality CEO.
Yeah.
Like, 2 bad words coming out of my mouth at the same time. It's like, ugh, this is just terrible. So I don't know what they're going to do, but they're canceling everything. They're canceling all types of upcoming stuff. A lot of good stuff for DC. They're canceling a lot of series. They were going to do an animated series with Paul Dini. They were going to bring back those guys. That's canceled already. I mean, that would have been amazing. I don't know what it would have been, but it would have been good. Not looking forward to the future there. That is a bad merger. I thought HBO Max was doing great. I guess from reading, all the streaming services just realized that they're giving us too much. And now they're trying to cut back everywhere. They're trying to cut back content. They're trying to increase cost. Maybe the servers are costing them too much money, but we're going to see some changes, not, for the better. I don't know if you guys have data caps in your areas. We've been, hoping, we've been lucky because of competition through Verizon. We don't have any data caps on our internet. They keep pushing it off with Comcast, but data caps are coming to everybody where you need a certain amount of internet. At a certain point, they're going to start charging you an exorbitant amount or force you to go to some type of subscription plan where you are getting unlimited data. So, sooner or later, this is going to come to all of us. I'm glad it hasn't come here yet, but I'm gritting my teeth.
That's not good news. I have to get caught up on some of these comments. Tony Man says Kong, Skull Island, and Godzilla versus Kong are awesome in 4DX. Jervis Horton says, wow, I was 18 when Akira premiered in manga and theaters. I'm 52 now, time flies. Lordrin says, Good Burger was my event movie. I'm leaving the chat now.
Goodbye.
I didn't know you were that young, Lordrin. Tony Man says Star Wars A New Hope was the first blockbuster I remember seeing. Terrence says The Wrath of Khan on a big screen would be cool. And Tony Man says that Star Trek episode was the Pred Alien or Alienator, complete with a bootleg Newt. Oh, there was a little girl that was acting like Newt. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Terrence says when Spock dies, that is a great scene, and Ricardo Montalban was just one of the very best sci-fi villains. Jervis says Babylon 5 was great. Tony Man says I'd watch Deep Space Nine on TBS before WCW wrestling on Saturdays. And Jervis says time to go back to VCRs and landlines. And Jervis says, what happened to the Sci-Fi Channel in the 90s and the mid 2000s? It was great.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now it plays a lot of asylum movies.
Is it still around? I don't have cable, so I don't know what they're.
It's still around because I watched the Chucky series on it. That's the only thing I've been catching on Sci-Fi. The Chucky series.
Weren't they showing like WrestleMania or something for a while on that channel?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember seeing that.
I haven't watched Sci-Fi since the 90s. They're early 2000s. It was great back then. Yeah, had all the stuff we were just talking about was on there.
Yeah. Yeah, they had an anime block for a while too. I remember that on Saturday mornings or something. It was all they show all kinds of cool stuff throughout. So
that's why I used to watch. I think it was Cartoon Network. I used to watch Dragon Ball Z constantly, and my dad would get so mad at me because he would come home from work, right, and I'd be like, he knows that I'm watching for like another half an hour. But he just couldn't take the yelling because it would be like, you think about for a half an hour of Goku powering up for like he's gonna power for like 4 episodes.
Whenever I hear somebody that say they like Dragon Ball Z, is like people yelling at each other for a half an hour.
He's like nothing happens like that. Listen, like 3 hours from now, he's definitely gonna let off a blast, but you're not gonna be there. But all that groaning, man, he could not stand it. Oh, turn that off. What are you watching? This guy's just yelling at me the whole time.
Is there like 800 episodes of Dragon Ball too?
There's
Isn't
so
like,
many episodes.
it's like more than Naruto or something. I don't know.
I used to tape them in big blocks so I could fast forward because I couldn't wait. I was like, so little happened per episode that I was like, let's get it going, guys. You know, and then fast forward.
For the animators, like, yeah,
Good
this
stuff.
is job security.
Lordran says the first wave was the Sugar Honey Iced Tea on the Sci-Fi Channel, and Tony says yes, Fitz, WWE's offshoot called ECW was on the Sci-Fi Channel, and Jervis says Primal on Cartoon Network has had me hooked. It needs a live action film.
Primal. Oh, that was the guy who made Samurai Jack, right? Did that Primal?
Oh yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, that was really
Jenny,
good.
Tartakovsky.
Yeah, Tartakovsky,
Terrific
yeah.
limited series. He did like a couple episodes, then he had the big break, and then I think he just dropped a couple more. I haven't watched the second half.
Primal?
What do you say?
A Primal or?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought,
he
I thought they
had like well, it maybe ended now, but he had like 6 or 8, and then he had a big gap, and then he just dropped another. You know, when I say just, it could be a couple months ago. He dropped another like 5 or 6. Yeah, I haven't watched him yet myself.
I thought it got canceled or something because it kind of ended on a cliffhanger when I saw it.
It did, yeah.
And,
but there's more.
There's more.
Yeah.
Oh, that's man, you made my day.
It's
I did not know that.
Good. It's so good. I mean, he did Powerpuff, right? He started with Powerpuff and Samurai Jack.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His design style of
He did some
animation is amazing.
Clone War stuff too.
Yep.
But you were talking about Akira in the manga, how he had pages of scenes that didn't say anything, and that's what Tartakovsky is really good at that too, of having telling stories without saying a word. He'll have a whole episode almost without a word being said.
Primal was virtually wordless.
Yeah, Primal did that. Samurai Jack did that a few times too.
Yeah,
and it was just he was really good storyteller just through the visual medium.
Just through the visual medium, and that's what you. I mean, that just shows how good he is. He's amazing colors, and Samurai Jack had a bunch of quiet episodes. Yeah, it
was really good. And then
but Primal, I think, is even better animated than Samurai Jack. I like Samurai Jack, it's just because I like the genre, but the art in Primal, I think, is just awesome. You know, the color is really cool. So yeah. So there should be more for you there. Well, at least hopefully. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay, in the chat, Tony Man says I work with an employee that does a Naruto run every time he runs to his car during thunderstorms. And Jervis says the primal T-Rex roars. LOL.
Yeah. My granddaughter used to run like Naruto.
On purpose?
When she first started running, it was like just like that.
Do you remember that group of people that went to Area 51 and they had the signs that said "Show us them aliens" and they kept doing Naruto runs back and
forth? Crazy motherfuckers.
Yes, they were crazy. That was the wildest internet thing, like movement that I had ever seen, and like 200 people showed up to do that.
Oh, do you remember when people used to do the Get Out challenge? Then they would run on the camera and shit. You know the Get Out challenge when they would run like that. Get Out.
Oh, like the guy, like the guy that's the grandfather.
Yeah. Like in Terminator 2. That's the Terminator 2 run as well.
Oh, I still remember when I saw Terminator 2, it was at Buster's Pub and Cinema, which was like this place in East Hartford where it's, well, literally a pub and cinema. It had a bar in the back, and then in the front it had, instead of like your regular theater chairs, it had the little tables and little like diner chairs around the tables, and they would play the movie on the screen while you eat. Like you get like a basket of French fries, chicken fingers, stuff like that type of stuff. And I remember after the movie, because there's a bar back there, we come out of the movie and we're walking to the car, and I think at the time I was 14, but my mother had me say I was 12 to get the children's discount because I could still pass for 12. So, but we were coming out of the theater, and this guy was running down the middle of Main Street like the cop from Terminator 2, and things that you can do in small town Connecticut because there's no cars coming. But I'm sure he had to have a couple beers before he did that. I will always remember going to see that. That and the people that would come out of the theater and kung fu fight after they seen a kung fu movie. Like, why are you kung fu fighting in the lobby?
Inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I love T2. That was terrific, man.
Mm-hmm.
We got that. I remember my folks got it on Laserdisc. And we were like, oh, wow, it's time to turn it over, you know, because those movies, you had to stop in the middle and you had to take that big disc out and you had to flip it over, put it back in. And that was when it was time to get some ice cream. So take a little break and time to flip the big disc, you know. They were around for a very short period of time. But they're great quality, though. Great quality, but just hilarious size.
Yeah.
It's just gigantic, you know.
I think the Laserdisc is the best quality you can get for the original Star Wars before they specialized them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that yesterday. Why that's one of the reasons why I started buying physical media again, because the way George Lucas went back and like changed things in Star Wars that I don't like, and now you can't get the original. If you don't have that old version, it's hard for you to get that old version.
The physical media is going away, and they're really what we're losing control. And we're losing control of the things that we love because they're saying, hey, you know, pay a fee to some subscription service and la-di-da-di-da. All the games now, they give you a box. There's no game inside. They said download the whole thing. But we're giving power back to the corporations. They're making it easier for us to consume media, but we're losing our control on our access. And they want to turn it off, and they want to turn it off, and then you don't get to see it anymore because they think it's disposable, but it's not disposable to us. And so,
I was just thinking about that in terms of music because I had iTunes for years, and because I had an iPod, and half of the music that was on my iPod was from CDs that I uploaded onto the iPod. So now if you update your iPod to the current version of iTunes, it's more like Spotify where you're renting those songs. And if you decide to not pay monthly, then no songs get taken away. That's why I've never done it. I'm just like, you're essentially asking, I'm speaking from the perspective of Gen X. You're asking us to buy music 3 times. We bought it on CD, and then we bought an iPod, and we put our CDs on the iPod, and then you asked us to buy it a 3rd time. I'm not buying the same songs a 3rd time. No.
You also had an issue with some of the streaming services changing the movies. I think there was Disney was tweaking some of the
and considering the Daredevil series, they're gonna like kind of PG-13 that out, and there was an uproar, so they didn't do it. But it's gonna happen. Yeah.
And they did with Stranger Things. They said the people who streamed Stranger Things right when it dropped didn't get the final copy of the special effects editing because they went back in and improved a lot of special effects after about a week. So then the people that watched it a week later got a better version, or what they're saying is a better version as far as the effects are. And I'm like, why not just wait a week before releasing it?
It's like your own company. Release it when you want to, right?
Yeah.
It's not like someone else made you put it out. It's the same thing with video games now. They release most of the games half broken, and then they say we'll patch it, and they continue to patch it for like a year. It's like, tell me when you're done, so I can go. Remember, you used to have a game. You bought the game was there. That was the whole thing. And when you were done, maybe if it was good, you got another one. You know.
Now you're paying to be a beta tester.
Yeah. Tony Man says pub and cinema was so original. Now every theater here in Florida is a pub and cinema. He also says, I remember seeing Flash Gordon on Movie Reel. Anyone remember that? Not in school, at someone's house. I do remember, Fitz, if you remember, Aunt Gail had a movie reel of, I can't remember whether it was Empire Strikes Back or the original Star Wars, but I remember being in her basement and then putting the movie reel on and projecting it onto the wall. This had to be in like 1980.
That goes way back. Yeah.
Because I remember being so little that I was in a sleeping bag because her basement was furnished and carpeted and everything. I remember being on a sleeping bag on the floor and looking at Star Wars on the wall. But it was before VCRs were out.
Yeah. I don't know if she got that from, where would you even get that? Maybe from an old theater or something, or somebody copied it onto a 16 millimeter projector or something. Yeah. I very, very vaguely remember that. That was, wow. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Flash Gordon. That's got to be probably the best B movie ever made.
I've never seen anything Flash Gordon. I've tried, but I've never seen.
You have to watch the Flash Gordon movie. It's like 1980.
You have to.
I don't know if the other guys, Dan, Curly, you seen that?
The only
I remember that.
I remember Dan probably has.
Yep, that was with Timothy Dalton and
Yeah,
in that.
and
I
Max
Timothy
von
Dalton.
Sydow.
Sydow,
it?
yeah. Max
Sydow.
von Sydow.
Max von Sydow, yeah.
Probably the two big
Sydow.
names. Oh, and the British guy, the Birdman. He's pretty famous. What's his name? He's got a real bombastic voice like this.
Yeah.
Quick, Flash Gordon, we must run.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's a B movie, so it's got some really cheesy lines.
But he's like what, like a space adventurer type, like Lost in Space type guy, or
it's fantasy. They do go to like another planet, but Flash Gordon dates back to the 20s, 30s. It's a very
I think
old
the 40s, because Dad said that when he was in elementary school, they used to play the serials of Flash Gordon. It was like a weekly serial that they would
Those were,
watch.
I think, made in the 30s. I believe. But anyways, I saw the actor. He was at a convention here a few years ago. A really neat guy.
Sam, right?
Yeah, Sam. Oh, what's his last name? And he was real down to earth. He said, "Hey, yeah, I did this role. I knew it wasn't. I'm not a big actor. I just, I had fun while I did it." And he showed up in that teddy bear movie made by Seth MacFarlane, whatever. What's that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a cameo. I was like, wait, actor. It's just a fun movie, and it's really the set designs and costumes are actually pretty.
Oh,
good.
she has
really
Ted
neat.
right there.
Yeah.
That's my
The Ted movie. So Curly, now when he the main character, when the guy he's riding around on that flying motorcycle bike thing, the blonde haired guy, that's Flash Gordon. He played the actor. And so that was it's a big thing of our youth. It was on cable all the time, so we saw it all the time. Yeah, you remember Dan? Yeah,
when they had like 5 movies at a time,
yeah.
They made it up in the Ted universe. I remember wondering if that was the actual big characters in the actual movie.
I stumbled onto another movie because my grandparents let me have a full cable in my room, like HBO, Movie Channel, Cinemax, and Showtime, because they got the full package. So when I would stay the summer with my grandparents in my bedroom, I had all those channels too, and they didn't monitor anything. And apparently there's a movie that used to come on Cinemax called Flesh Gordon. Not the same as Flash Gordon.
Not the same thing.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
And the irony is, my grandparents got the full cable package because it came with the Disney Channel, and they said, "Oh, we got the full one because it comes with the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon for y'all." And they had no idea I'm in my room watching that.
Flash Gordon After Dark.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was 14. I was getting a little old for the Disney stuff anyways. And we used to come to school and talk about it. I go to school and go, "Did you see what was on Cinemax? Yeah, we saw this movie. It was called Emmanuel. There's like 8 of them." That's what we would talk about in middle school.
I had the Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
I had the Flash Gordon soundtrack on my phone because it's I guess.
Oh, well, it's Queen. Yeah,
Queen did the whole thing. It's just a rocking soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Is that black and white? Do they color? It's black and white, right?
No, it's in color. Well, the original is in black and white, but the 1980s movie is in color. It's very, very colorful.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's popping.
It was the earliest stuff I saw was the Lost in Space stuff, the original ones.
TV show.
That was just fun, kooky. It was on that. It was like Naked Night or something. I think.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day is when I saw some of the more of the throwback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the other day. It's still pretty funny. Is the old Addams Family, the black and white one?
Yes.
There's one of the streaming thing. I think Pluto. I watched.
It's
Pluto
actually really good.
It was really.
Yeah. In fact, I'm hating the fact that Rob Zombie is supposedly making a new one.
Yeah, I heard about that.
No, he's doing the Munsters.
No.
Oh,
yeah, he's doing the Munsters.
No,
yeah,
somebody just announced
there is a new Addams Family, but it's on Netflix. But it's not Rob Zombie. They're both happening. There's a new Munsters that's Rob Zombie's doing, and I'm not paying any attention to it because Rob Zombie is like fascinated with
his daughter.
His view of white trash aesthetic, which I believe that I don't think he grew up in that socioeconomic level, because I feel like he the way he portrays it is like an outsider looking in, not someone that grew up in it, if that makes sense.
You need to stop casting his goddamn wife in his movie.
Yes, his
Oh, his
wife and
wife, yeah.
everything.
Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, he casts her in every single thing.
And she sucks. So stop.
She's not terrible. She plays
She
a pretty good like weirdo. I mean, she could do like a Harley Quinn type of person. But yeah, she's
Well,
pretty weird.
she did in 31. In 31, she did play. Well, no, was that her or was that somebody else in 31? There was a Harley Quinn type character in 31. It had a mallet and everything. But she did do a decent job, I will say, in Lords of Salem. I thought her acting was pretty good in Lords of Salem.
I really like Devil's Rejects, but I don't like anything else that he did, including, and that was a sequel. I didn't even like the first one. I only like Devil's Rejects. That was it. Everything else he's done seems so uneven.
I like
Like,
House
he
of a
doesn't-
Thousand Corpses. I like that one better than Devil's Rejects. I hate what
Really?
he did with Halloween. I feel like those movies
Okay.
should have just been their own thing. He should have just had his own, which we don't know whether they were, because a lot of times they will retcon other scripts into horror franchises. That's what happened to a lot of Hellraiser movies. Like the last 5 or 6 of them were never conceived as Hellraiser movies. They were just scripts that were laying around, and they said, oh, well, let's just use these scripts we already have and just shoehorn the Cenobites into it. So I don't know whether those were scripts that he had, and they said, no, you got to make them Halloween movies, because I think they would have worked better as their own thing.
The original first 2, I think, were great. I mean, they were so scary. I remember one night I did like all of them. But yeah, the first couple, just the design and the weirdness and the scariness is really great. And I would love a new version of that, but with somebody who really loves the material, not some kind of fluff.
Okay, we have a few comments here. Tony Man says, I made the mistake. I had years of music on my iPhone. I went to sync it and lost all my music. Now I'm on Android. Jervis says, I want to watch Flash Gordon on edibles for scientific purposes. Tony Man says, Buck Rogers in the 25th century and Flash Gordon are almost the same to me. Does Curly sing the Thunder Buddy song?
Yeah.
And then Jervis says, someone do a Rocky Horror Flash Gordon double feature. And Tony Man says, I agree, Mark. Devil's Rejects was the best Rob Zombie movie by far. It's his Sixth Sense.
It had good music. That's what I liked about it. Some slow motion, it was solid. His other movies, it seems like he literally swaps out the cinematographer every like 4 or 5 scenes, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do these scenes this way, shaky cam with all this color, and then the next one's like a normal director comes in. I can never keep track. He has some, and like you said, he's way too obsessed with his wife, putting her in everything. And there was another one that he made that was really bad. I don't know if you remember the name of it, but I don't. But it was just her and like a convent, and there was like some devil worship stuff, but it wasn't House of a Thousand, and it was extremely boring and went on forever. So I don't remember the name of it.
That's the one I said her acting was good in. That was the Lords of Salem.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I actually thought her acting was decent in that. It was very slow. It was very slow.
Yeah, that's the one that's like the least Rob Zombie like. I think.
Yes.
It was terrible though, right? I mean, do you guys like it? I don't know. I liked
her acting in it. For her, I think that was her best performance. I've never rewatched it, so I can't say I love it that much, because typically if you love something, you rewatch it. I've never rewatched it. Yeah. But I wasn't as disappointed in it as I was with Devil Rejects. Like I think I enjoyed watching that more than the Devil's Rejects, but that's just me. Lordran says, okay, Shasha, you don't like Rob Zombie's Halloween. Hand over your horror card and wedding ring. Curly, here I come. See how he goes back.
I got. But then again, not so fast, Lordran, because his Halloween was okay. It was not great. So
I don't even remember it. Which one was it? It wasn't the newest one, right?
No. It's not Halloween Kills or Halloween from 2018. It's
Zombie Halloween specifically.
It's the one where he decided instead of just making Michael Myers evil, which is the lore, that he just was evil. And one of the most iconic things is the opening of the original Halloween, where the little boy comes out of the house and his parents are coming back from dinner, and they're this, well-heeled middle-class family, and he just is evil. That's what's scary. Right. No, Rob Zombie decides, oh no, Michael Myers is evil because his mother's a stripper and his stepfather is an alcoholic who's abusive. And I'm just like, you just gutted what made it scary. And then it's kind of, you're like, on the one hand, you love this for lack of a better term, sorry, this is an offensive term, but the poor white trash aesthetic that you love, you're actually being insulting to that same demographic of people, because you're kind of saying that, oh, well, if they don't have like these certain conditions, they'll just become psychos. And I'm like, that tells me you're not one of them. You're a rich person looking, you know, through from the outside into that. And I only say that because I grew up in a working class town. I grew up with kids that had similar life circumstances, and the way he portrays them is very one-dimensional.
But honestly, my favorite part about Rob Zombie's Halloween is Michael Myers' like early years. I would say that when he's a kid in a movie and he's all crazy and shit and evil, I like that part. As soon as he grows up and he's actually Michael Myers and he put on the goddamn mask, that's what I checked out from Rob Zombie's Halloween. Mm-hmm. I like it when he's like a kid and he's evil. I think it's fun.
Is Rob Zombie the one responsible for bringing in the supernatural side that also people didn't like, right?
Well, no, because Michael Myers became supernatural in the first movie when he got shot 6 times and got up and walked away. So he's been supernatural for a few years. But Rob Zombie took it to the next level by having him have these visions of his mother with a white horse. Like none of that. I don't know what that's about. Just a reason to keep his wife in the movie.
Hey,
let's make a sequel that's not a remake of the first Halloween 2. I don't know. That didn't. Yeah. Didn't make any sense.
And
well, the latest one, I talked to you about this, Sasha. Mm-hmm. You liked it. I was like, this has got to be the most brain dead movie I have ever
seen. Dumb. I will admit it's dumb. I'm saying I enjoyed watching it because I can enjoy watching dumb movies too. It's not a good movie, but I had fun watching it.
Everybody got hit over the head with a large, heavy shovel before saying anything in that movie. They all
Evil dies tonight, though. And I cannot accept old dude from the Breakfast Club as no, that was a miscast. If I ever seen a miscast, no.
How could they not kill him at the end? He was just standing there and everybody was killing him, and then he was all of a sudden winning. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This guy is standing there just getting worked. And I was like, this makes no sense now.
When they all jumped his ass. And he didn't die. I was like, okay.
Come on, guys. I mean, with the whole hospital, it was like everybody there was breathing in some type of hallucinogenic gas. Like nobody was acting like a normal person. The writing was just like everybody had like, it was like they were trying to make it like a town that had this fever that they got caught, but they didn't earn it. Because it was like you walk through the doors of the hospital and you're like, where's Michael? That guy from 40 years ago. I know him. Evil dies tonight. Like, where did you learn that? How do you know this guy? Why do you know he's back? Like, people just seemed to just walk in on the plot like they had been watching from the sidelines and decided it was time to say something. Like, I've never seen a movie.
I also don't like what's her name? Lori's family. I don't like her daughter. I don't like her granddaughter. I don't like them. They're the most blandly written characters ever. Like, and I don't like them. Don't care. I don't think they needed to do this. Yeah, they didn't need to do this whole.
Why did they pay Jamie Curtis when she's in 2 scenes in 2 movies? She's making bank. She doesn't even show up. They put her in a hospital bed for the entire movie. Like, I thought this was the movie where she steps up. Nope. I guess the third movie is going to take her for her to step up.
I think maybe you could get like 2 movies out of the whole reboot idea. I think 3 is stretching it because really there's just not a lot to it. Michael Myers comes back. Michael Myers gets out, he comes home, and there's a conflict, and that's
it.
That's pretty much it.
I don't think they needed Jamie Lee Curtis at all. This is the way I would have rewritten it. Okay, so this town has been devastated by Michael Myers. So what do? You re-gentrify the town, rename the town, and then you show all this new construction and new families moving in. Oh, that's old history. That's done. Then you just have them show up and start killing again. There's the movie. That's it.
It'll be like Haddonfieldville.
Yeah. And the same thing with Friday 13th. They're saying, oh, we're going to do a new sequel to Friday 13th.
Yeah.
All you need to do is say, oh, it's been 30 years since Camp Blood got that nickname. We can reopen it now because, you know, nothing's going to happen. You reopen the camp, Jason shows up
Yeah.
again. That's the movie. You
That
don't need all this extra stuff.
Lady Sasha, patent that idea. That will work.
Yeah.
Get a
If you
copyright.
do that, I need a story by credit and a check. This is a visual, tangible medium, and it's dated, so you know when these ideas were discussed.
Oh, man. Well, it seems like we're in this world of sequel, prequel, and when are we going to escape and new ideas come in? Because we're like in the regurgitation era.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's music, movies, and it seems like the speed of regurgitation is faster. It used to be like, it's been 40 years since we made this movie, we're going to remake it. Now it's been 6 years since this movie came out, and we're going to remake it. Same with video games and everything else. So when are we going to slow down and maybe come up with 3 or 4 new ideas we can ride through the next millennium? Because right now, who wants to see, you know, Jason 12? I mean, Jason in space. I mean, do we really need this stuff? Can't we come up with another idea? Because when they came out, they were great, and they're still kind of good. But at the same time, they're not like genius ideas. Okay, we can come up with another horror bad guy. I think we can all, you know, come up with something that's interesting. I think the last interesting thing that came along was maybe like Saw or something. That's still like a decade old or more. And they beat
I think
that
it comes down to economics. I think they don't want to pay for new intellectual property. They just want to use existing properties that they have because they don't repay for those.
But what's weird is the people that go to watch them, they recognize the name. It's almost like paying for a brand, and they have no idea what's inside. And the people that know the brand, they're normally the ones who can't stand the new versions. So it's like, what is this really for? The new people, they've heard of it before. I guess I get some in the theater, but they don't even know what to expect because they haven't watched all the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird time. I mean, I hope there's just more new ideas, and that's what I thought streaming was going to do, was to open it up. There's a streaming horror channel, right?
Shudder. Yeah, I like Shudder.
I've heard that there's been some good stuff on there. I'm just right now, I'm just like, not one more.
Well, what Shudder's been doing is they've been bidding on movies as soon as they come out of the festival circuit. So you'll hear about a movie in a festival circuit, and then you'll find out, oh, Shudder has won the bidding war, so they're going to premiere that on Shudder.
I've heard it's got some great stuff, and I'm looking at that and the anime channel and saying, do I really want to do either one of these? Do I want to commit to more of this?
I think what's going to change the tide, this is just a prediction out of nowhere. I don't have any statistical data to prove this, but I feel like Tubi is going to be a game changer because number one, I want to mention, I think that movies like Akira is going to find a brand new audience because a lot of kids watch Tubi because it's free. They can put it on any device they have, a phone, tablet, laptop. They can watch it for free. They don't need credit card or anything like that to get it. So they'll stumble upon things like Akira, but also Tubi has a great selection of past movies. Like they had Invasion USA on Tubi, TV shows. They had the A-Team is playing on Tubi. And I'm like, it's like these new.
Oh, I love the A-Team.
Yeah, that's on Tubi. Freddy's Nightmares is on Tubi. What else is on Tubi? It's like all this stuff that they keep acquiring every month. It's like Generation Z and Generation Alpha is gonna kind of have what we had growing up if they were watching Tubi. They're like literally gonna have everything that we had growing up. And I think that their taste is going to dictate how these companies move because they're gonna see, okay, this app over here is getting way more traffic on some properties, small movies like Amsterdammed. Like I only know it's because I watch TikToks and Twitter, and if you go on TikTok, a lot of the kids, they'll watch a movie and then they'll go on TikTok and talk about the movie that they watch. And it's funny because sometimes they stumble upon stuff and not realize that it's not real. Like there was a time a few months ago where they stumbled upon Megan is Missing, which is a found footage film, and it was uploaded to YouTube. And the kids didn't know that it was a found footage movie. So they were on making all these TikToks about Megan is Missing and how it freaked them out because they didn't know, so much so that the director of Megan is Missing had to come out and make he recorded himself, uploaded a TikTok making a statement saying this is not, real. This is a made up movie. It's done to look like it's real because it's found footage and it's all based on what this girl recorded on her cell phone, but it's not real. Do you remember that? Curly girl.
I remember that, yeah. And I was like, that's what made me watch the movie. I never like I've heard about it before, but I never wanted to watch it. And then everybody kept talking about how it looks so real. So I was like, let me check it out. But I'm watching the movie and I'm like, ain't nothing about this shit feels real.
But to that group of 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds, they thought it was real.
First of
But
all,
there was like a group of us that thought that Blair Witch was real.
Oh yeah, we went to Blair Witch and we were like,
wait, you're breaking up, curly girl.
We bought the hype.
I'd never seen that movie.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Well,
the reason why we bought the hype, a lot of us, was the way Blair Witch was advertised. I first came across it in a forum. I remember being in class and not paying attention to class. I'm playing on the computer and surfing the internet because I was literally in a computer's class. I was supposed to be learning coding way back when you had to type all that code out, and if you got one slash wrong, all your stuff is messed up. Yeah, I was in one of those classes, and I kept on surfing the internet and was on a forum, and somebody had dropped this link to a website about the Burkittsville witch. So we end up passing it around, and we're all reading about this Burkittsville, Pennsylvania witch, and then we find out, oh, these people are missing. And they kept on dropping these little things online. So for months and months and months, we're reading about the Burkittsville witch. We're reading about the people being missing. And then suddenly you see the trailer for the Blair Witch. And then everybody goes to see the movie to see, like, what does this have to do? Because it looked kind of documentary style. So we go to see the movie, and that's why it was so freaky, because they had all these months of kind of like prepping us through the internet before the movie dropped. I don't think they'll ever be able to do something like that again, because this was in the early 90s where all this stuff was really, really, well, not early 90s. I think it's mid to late 90s, but still it was kind of new.
That shaky cam documentary look, I mean, that wasn't something that was used in horror or even used in any movie, really. It looks so real.
There was some that became before that, like Cannibal Holocaust did that, and there's another movie, I can't remember, but those are lesser known because they weren't like, if you knew about Cannibal Holocaust in the 80s, you had to have found it in some mom and pop video store because it was not in wide release.
Okay.
Because it was sold, banned in like 100 countries.
Yes, it was banned. It was on the video nasty list, all of that. And then they went to court because I think in the Italian filmmakers were brought into court because they thought that they had killed people for real on camera, because the director had to bring the actors to court to prove that they're alive. It wasn't real.
When Charlie Sheen called the FBI,
yes, Charlie Sheen saw the movie and called the FBI.
Blood.
Was that Trump calling?
This what happened. Charlie Sheen was like real drunk and real high on whatever it is he's using, and he was watching the movie and he was like, "Oh, holy shit!" and he called the FBI.
Okay, we got a bunch of comments here. Jervis says, Shasha, is Winnie the Pooh horror movie on your fall review list? Yes, it is, because it's weird. And I like weird horror, so I'm going to definitely, there's for Fitz and
Wait,
Mark,
what?
There's a horror movie coming out called Blood and Honey. It's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
I thought it was going to be a Candyman 5 or something. Okay.
No. It's
Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Yes, because Winnie the Pooh is now public domain, so anybody can.
How do you get a license for that?
Okay.
There's a few limitations, like he doesn't have the red. Apparently, like the clothes, some of the clothes they can't use, so he doesn't have the red shirt on.
Oh, okay.
I think Winnie the Pooh and Piglet both got mad that Christopher Robin abandoned them, so they're now slashing people. I think that's.
So this time it's for real. It's for real, Piglet.
Tony Man had a theory, because he was saying that each character in Winnie the Pooh represents different emotional issues. Like Eeyore is depression, Tigger is ADHD, Piglet is anxiety, and he said that he thinks that the movie's going to turn out that it's Christopher Robin doing all the killings, and that these characters are just in his head.
Isn't that
that's his theory?
A fan theory
that could work.
Yeah.
In general, that Christopher Robin just imagines all those characters as a representation.
Yes.
Of the disorder he has. Yeah.
Jervis Horton is continuing my idea of the regentrification of oh god, my mind is of the town that Michael Myers is in. I don't know why I drew a blank. And he says Mike's house is a condo, so he kills the whole condo complex. That's one way you could do it. And
That
Jervis
actually
also
could
says,
be great. If they did it
Jervis
like
says,
the Dread remake, where he goes.
oh,
and does
yeah.
the whole building.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or Poltergeist 3, that was in an apartment complex. Jervis says, I was hoping for a Jason versus Freddy versus Michael movie.
Yeah, they should bring them all in.
Yeah.
That was
And
Tony says,
could.
Tony says, Chucky, I know what you did. We're looking at you. Oh, it's saying it's Chucky did it. Where did I leave off here? Tony says, I agree. Lady Shasta Tubi does have great movies. Mark will love Pistol Wave in New Haven. Okay, that's one of those new. There's these new low budget. I call them new blaxploitation movies because
okay.
that's what they are. They're new blaxploitation movies, and they're on Tubi. Some of them are remakes. Like there's one that was called. Do you remember the horror movie The Stepfather?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's one that they remade called The Stepmother, and it stars Marquise Houston and Erica Mena from Love and Hip Hop.
Oh no,
then,
not Erica Mena. Oh no.
Yes.
No,
And then
no.
there's another one that they remade. Instead of single white female, it's called single black female. That one was pretty good.
Hey, that's on Tubi? I didn't know. I thought it was on Lifetime.
Yeah, when I saw it was on Lifetime. I think it was on Tubi for a limited time. I don't know if it's still on there.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead.
Oh, I just reviewed a slasher movie, a Tubi original slasher movie. The director of that movie has directed like 10 movies for Lifetime.
Oh,
wow!
Wow.
All the generic like kidnapping, stalking movies.
Yeah,
and this it had that kind of a feel to it. Yeah, so it was produced by the same company, so maybe that's kind of like what they're doing for the moment.
Yeah, it could be. And that's what Tony Man was saying. There's a movie called Pistol Wave in New Haven, which I'm sure was shot in Connecticut. And it's one of those movies. They usually get someone from Love and Hip Hop or a Real Housewife to be in movies.
What's their setup? Like, is it you watch an ad? Is it just a service? Do you pay for it? What's the deal?
Oh no, Tubi is free, but it does have commercials, but way less than Crackle. If you remember Crackle, it's similar to Crackle, but Crackle had so many commercials, it was annoying. If you watch a movie on Tubi, you're probably going to get 2 or 3 commercial breaks. Like 2 if it's a 90-minute movie. If it's a 2-hour movie, you're going to get 3 commercial breaks.
No, that's not true anymore. Maybe it used to be like that, but now whenever I watch something on Tubi, I will watch like an hour-long movie, and there will be like 10 fucking commercials in it.
Really? They added more commercials?
Yes,
okay.
they added more commercials. It's more.
Oh,
they're more popular, more commercials, maybe.
Yeah.
They don't put them in at a convenient time either. It's just like any random time.
Like YouTube, they just hit you when they want it.
Right in the middle of the action. There's a commercial.
The movie is about to get to like a really intense scene, and they will put a commercial in there, ruin the moment.
Oh, they're messing it up now. They didn't used to be like that.
What about
what's happening? They're making more money and getting more sponsors, and this is what happens.
You guys heard of Freevee? Anybody heard of Freevee?
I have heard of Freevee. Freevee used to be IMDb TV. They changed the name to Freevee, but there's free movies on there too.
Oh, I get it all through the Amazon Fire Stick. So I check these weird things out, but I haven't checked Freevee out.
Yeah, I get them through Roku.
Okay, yeah.
Let me see. Terrence says, I just hope this is not a new trend of making beloved old cartoons and turning them into killer. Although Howdy Doody would be cool. Well, when you think about how Chucky's design, it's kind of similar to Howdy Doody. They both have red hair.
I want 101 Dalmatians as a horror movie. I'll go in ham, start biting people. They just go rabid.
And Jervis is asking, did you see the Florida Live Dogman video? No, I don't know anything about that. Terrence says Charlie Sheen once came to Glasgow, Scotland to make a movie and went into a dodgy neighborhood to score drugs. Sad and hilarious. And Jervis also says a Charlie Brown slasher film I'm down for. And Terrence says, yes, Snoopy with a big effing knife, no dogs allowed. He will show them.
I'd love to see them.
Tony Man says Dread remake or the Raid Redemption, what's better? Ah, I like the Raid Redemption.
That's a hard one there because I love them both. I love them both. Raid Redemption is terrific, and the action is better. There's no doubt because the stuntmen in Raid, the work that they do, that little guy, they are the best stuntmen. But in terms of just production value, like just the cameras, the color, and the fact that you could write the entire, pretty much all the dialogue in Dread on pretty much one sheet of paper has that comic book feel because it is so paint by numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a simple layout. The entire story you can describe in one sentence. It's got great special effects. So the production value is higher. But
the villain is great too.
The villain's great, but Raid has the goods. Like if you're looking for, actually both Raid movies are awesome. So if you're looking for the best in action, the guys who are now working with the John Wick guys, doing all that stuff, Raid Redemption's the better one. But in terms of kickback and love and rewatch, I got to admit, I watched Dread a lot more. I love Dread. I watched that a lot more. I even like, which is terrible to say, guilty pleasure, I love the old Dread movie. And that one's terrible with Sylvester Stallone, but it still is kind of fun.
I just recently
kind of a campy vibe to it.
I just recently rewatched oh god, what's the name of that movie? It was on Tubi. It's with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah, that's great. Demolition Man. Oh
yeah, Demolition Man. I just rewatched it like 2 weeks ago. It's still fun.
It's fun.
Like before the super people movies took over the action movie genre, the action movie genre of the 90s, all day with The Negotiator, Clear and Present Danger. Like there were so many hardcore action 90s movies. I think I've watched them all. I keep watching them over and over. There was just a certain, I don't know, just aggressive nastiness about them. Last Boy Scout, stuff like that. It just was so much fun. It was gritty.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff in the 90s.
Terrence says the Raid every time. Jervis says Dread was hard. And Toteman says Pistol Waving was shot in New Haven. I recognize a ton of stuff. Terrence says Single White Female was based on a novel called Single White Female Seek Same, but it makes sense to drop the Seek Same part. And Toteman says, by the way, the evil woman in Dread was the queen of Game of Thrones, Lena Headey. Yes, that was her.
Yes,
it was a real nasty scar. Anybody see the new Ghostbusters Afterlife? And what is your feeling?
I haven't seen it.
I've seen it. I was just like, meh. But I had to tell myself that I'm looking at it from the perspective of a woman in her 40s. When I saw Ghostbusters, I was 9 years old, and I love it. And that's why I love it to this day, because it's just the nostalgia. And I thought to myself, if I were a 9-year-old child today, would I enjoy Ghostbusters Afterlife? And I think they might. I think they might enjoy that.
I liked it, and I don't know why. And I normally can analyze what it is I like and don't like. I think it was a huge dose of nostalgia. I liked how it ends. And most of the time, I grade a movie by how it ends. And I felt like it had a pretty decent ending. I also really liked, which is weird, but I really liked the special effects. They did a great job of making old special effects. Like Zool, is like, it almost looks like it's stop motion. Really kind of choppy, and yet the electricity and stuff felt old. So a lot of effects that they probably are all CGI, but they made them look like there were old school special effects. So a lot of that I liked. And honestly, I was laughing. I was actually, maybe I was just in a good mood, but it seemed funny. It seemed carefree. I was never a huge fan of Ghostbusters 2 so much, but I really liked the first one. I don't know. I thought it was inoffensive. I think it got really slagged pretty hard online though. I think a lot of people wanted it to be so much more for them than it was. I think maybe I'm not as attached to the franchise, so that's why I kind of thought it was fun. But generally, I normally think I align generally with what things are out there, but a lot of people hated it, and I thought it was so right.
That's interesting. I thought it had a more favorable opinion among people. I don't think I saw all that hatred.
Yeah.
I just thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad either. I just thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I think people got mad because anytime they see like Paul Rudd, for instance, or another main, person of today doing something from before, they just immediately feel like they prefer the original. And I think obviously the earlier Ghostbusters before this one was, everything wrong with Ghostbusters. So, but yeah, I guess I had read that a lot of people really didn't like it, but whatever. I enjoyed it. It actually was pretty fun, pretty funny, and it was lightweight. And maybe I watched too many hardcore movies. It just seemed like a breath of fresh air and just a lightweight movie,
Lordred says it sucked, but they loved Ghostbusters 2. They said it's great, god damn it. I love Ghostbusters 2, and I can do the rap part of On Our Own, Bobby Brown's song for Ghostbusters 2, but I won't do that because YouTube will clock you for singing and rapping now. Tony Man says, should I watch Jurassic Park Dominion? I have Peacock, got it for 6 months for $6. Is it worth my bandwidth? It's a little bit long, but I think it was a lot of fun to watch. But I saw it, like I said, I saw it in a 4DX theater, so my chair was moving.
There you go.
And they were shooting stuff at me. I don't know whether it's going to be as exciting without the extra stuff around you. So I can't give a fair analysis of whether it's worth your time or not. I think it brought back a lot of the characters from the original, like first 2 or 3 Jurassic Park movies. So I mean, it kind of it's just a Jurassic Park movie. They kind of keep it the same. They don't really they don't really stray too much from the concept.
Really kind of lowered the bar on the second one of this remake series here. So I mean, when they had the dinosaurs inside the guy's house. And he's doing an auction in his house. I said, all right, that's it, guys. I can't. It doesn't make sense. These things are gigantic. No house. You can't put them in a house. So that, after that, I'll watch the new one. I'm sure I'll watch it. You know what actually was quite nice? Before the new Dominion came out, there's actually a Jurassic Park short.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
And actually, that's quite solid.
It was really good.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes, and it's like really excellent.
Yeah, loved it.
That was great. So I don't know about the new one. I haven't seen it yet, but the preview was really cool.
I don't mind the new one. A lot of people hate it. I don't mind it.
I think people wanted to see, from what I've read, they wanted to see the animals out in the wild running crazy, and a lot of the new one has to do with mosquitoes and other things. I guess.
Well, the new one has they have like a T-Rex and also a what do they call it? I can't say the new Rex. Yes, that's the word I'm trying to say, but I couldn't say it.
From the original Jurassic Park movies in there as well. Like, what do you guys want?
Like the Jurassic Park is the dinosaurs get loose, people are in danger, they have to survive. That's it. Each movie is the same. It's the same thing. Jeff Goldblum is there to like say some wild stuff and be funny.
Yeah.
I enjoy him. I'm gonna wrap things up soon because I hear thunder outside and I have like usually I play an ending bumper, but since my laptop's not cooperating with me today, I'm gonna have to like end it on a less polished way. So I'll say a couple more tweets and then we will plug everybody's channel again. Tweets. I said tweets. Chats. Yeah, because I'm on Twitter way too much. The new Ghostbusters is just Stranger Things hunts ghosts, says Tony Man. And also saying, speaking of movies with kids, my guilty pleasure is Super 8. Spoiler alert. You don't need a spoiler alert for Jurassic Park. You know the dinosaurs are going to get loose.
They're loose. Again.
In every movie.
Yes.
It's like you don't need a spoiler alert for the Purge series because in every movie it's gonna be about crime is legal for one night, everybody wilding out, and so that do not actually want to purge somehow ends up on the streets during the purge night, and they gotta fight.
Yeah.
Okay, to wrap things up, I'm going to go around. Everybody tell me what you got coming up and where people can find you, starting with Mr. Dan.
Well, I'm just doing my thing, doing some movie reviews, usually a minimum of one a week. Tubi Tuesday sometimes, Wild Eye Wednesday. Wild Eye is an independent film company. So we do some Wild Eye Wednesday reviews and just other random videos. My Instagram is Mr. Dan Horror Hot Wheels, which combines both of my hobbies.
Mhm.
And hopefully I'll be hosting some streams of my own between now and Halloween. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Oh, good. Look forward to it.
Oh,
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna be doing some Halloween stuff with Shasha. We'll get some music, get some video trailers. So that's kind of my next focus, trying to get some tunes out to you and some more art. And then in the new year, just more video trailers, art design, and maybe you'll start getting some work out to Tape Night Studios on the YouTube with designs for the new comic. So some type of Black Viking / music influenced horror
Mhm.
comic, which is going to be very strange. So I'll be sending you guys some designs and stuff on that. And just check me out at Tape Night or Tape Night Studios, and also I'll have music at Dark Mego, and we'll just keep shooting links your way.
And all the links are in the description box of this video, by the way. What you got coming up, Curly Girl?
Oh, well, I'm just gonna be doing what I always do, just being all extra, reacting to and actually tonight I have another live stream that I'm gonna be on. That's something that me and Terrence Miguana and I Am the Ice Lord, my good friends on YouTube, are doing together. We're doing this live stream called Psycho Bubble, and we're gonna have a special guest, DeRay from Rainbow Fright, and we're talking about 90s and early 2000s horror movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be tonight.
Sounds cool.
Eastern time.
Which channel? Whose channel is it going to be on?
On Terrence's channel.
Okay, so Terrence Miguena's channel. His name is here in the chat. If you saw Terrence there, go to his channel. About what time is the live stream?
8 o'clock, 8 p.m. East.
8 p.m. Okay, so in just about an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm real
Stay
busy.
streaming.
Mm-hmm. Long day for you. Thank you for coming through on my stream. I know that's a lot to do. I appreciate you.
No problem. You're always fun to hang out with. So.
Oh, thank you. Fitz, what you got going on?
All right. Well, on my main channel, the Hobby View channel, I've got a couple of big ass model airplanes I'm putting together. That will be a review hopefully soon. I just got one in yesterday and I started working on it. I got another one that I've been playing around with. So that I got a few things there. I got, of all things, a little robot kit too to review as well.
Oh, nice.
If you're familiar with Arduinos or Raspberry Pis, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I've got it's actually a Raspberry Pi robot kit thing. It's got a whole bunch of pieces and sensors and things I got in, and that'll be a video review. I was just taking pictures of it today as I was unboxing it. And I just dropped another review on Movie Science Review. I reviewed episode 2 of For All Mankind, alternate history TV show on about the space program. It's really neat. So I'm trying to get that channel up and running, see how that goes for now. But kind of tight getting that squeezed in with all the other stuff I'm working on. But check out either of those two, whatever hits your fancy. I really appreciate it.
Why is your channel called Movie Science Review?
Because it sounded good.
I thought it had something to do with the science in the movies.
Yeah. So it's a I don't know, I'm just being goofy. So yeah, I thought I kind of came up with an idea of reviewing movies, but not really reviewing like a normal review. I was actually looking at the representation of science and technology in TV shows and movies, and my impressions on how what I thought looked good, what I thought was really fantastical. Now, it's not really something to review science fiction stuff, because obviously that's really fiction, but I was looking more at movies that were either near fiction or science-based or technology-based. Something, watching a movie about astronauts, I'm like, that doesn't look right. Well, that's a good idea. Or something about airplanes. I say, yeah, no, airplanes can't do that, or something like that. So it's really sort of a nerdy, technical look at stuff as portrayed in movies and what I think is accurate and not accurate.
I definitely want you to review the Fast and Furious series and explain why.
Physics is optional.
Physics.
Fly.
Yeah.
That would be fun, though. Yeah, I need to do one of those. What's that, Curly?
It's so many why in that franchise.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many why.
just just the amount of let me know if I'm using the correct term. Does The Rock have enough torque to actually flex out of a cast? I gotta go flex out of the cast.
That's a good question. Oh, a really good question.
He
Yeah.
redirects a missile one time.
And the
Some
last
do
one
that.
was literally flying spaceships. So
So what? I'm sorry. So what?
Was the spaceships. So
Yeah. He was speaking of Fast and Furious. One of them I was watching some years ago. I don't know why I was watching it, but they had a big car chase near the airport, and they're chasing down an airplane. And
Yeah.
it took 10 minutes for this airplane to take off as it's going down the runway. It shouldn't take longer than about 30 seconds for an airplane to take off. And this thing is, and they're like, I'm looking at my wife, like, wait, what? No,
You haven't gotten to the sequel where The Rock reached. He was in a what do you call it? What do you call the big rig truck? And he reaches out and shoves a missile that way with
That's
his
what I'm
hand.
talking about. He redirects a missile while he's on ice. He's on ice.
Yeah. Well, he's driving on ice in a tractor trailer, and he reaches out the door of the tractor trailer and just pushes the missile with his hand that way.
No, you can't do that. You don't push missiles away. They've got gyros and guidance systems on there.
It's all about family.
Family. My family power move the
It's
missile.
all about family.
Yes. Tony Man has a question for you. He says, when is Fitz going to do some reviews on drones?
There's 8 billion people reviewing drones. I'm not gonna.
And also that he can't wait for your review of Gravity.
Oh, the movie? Okay.
My head explode. I should do that, but yeah, that movie has a lot of problems with physics and.
Oh no.
Don't get me started on Gravity.
I can't imagine being an engineer and actually watching these movies. Like, I don't know how you do it without getting mad.
I usually just laugh. I'm like, no, that's not how that works. But,
all right, let me get out of here so you let everybody else go too, because we've been. This was a great conversation, by the way.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm disappointed in is that my computer didn't work right, and I don't have all the bells and whistles that I want to have. But we had a really great conversation, so that makes up for it.
Well, that's because you're using an Apple.
I'm not using an Apple. I actually am
Apple
using
monitor behind you.
No, that one I use for editing, but I'm actually using an HP Chromebook.
Oh.
But it wants to update, and every time it wants to update, you can't do nothing until you do it.
Well, even normally a Chromebook's kind of gimped. You're probably better off using
Chromebook is I'm pushing it to its limit. Like
it's not meant for that kind of stuff.
No, this is meant for like you to surf the internet, maybe watch some Netflix on it. but I'm really pushing it.
You're pushing it hard.
I'm pushing it as hard as I can because the Mac behind me, she's 12 years old and she's just not fast enough for like internet stuff. Like I would have like the same type of stuff happening. And I'm living on borrowed time with that.
Yeah. You do your editing on that one?
Yeah, I do most of the editing on the Mac, but then I switched to the Chromebook to add like GIFs and stuff because it's easier for me to add GIFs and music on the Chromebook than it is in the Mac for some reason because the Mac wants you to use only Mac products. So it's like, and I'm not super familiar with GarageBand, so.
Put that Mac down.
Yeah, and I did have a MacBook, but she died on me, unfortunately. So I got to take up a collection. I need to put like a feed the children scroll at the bottom and take up a collection to get a new computer because I'm doing the best I can with what I have.
I'm fundraising all the time. It's tough, man, because every day your stuff's getting slower and older and slower.
Yeah.
Everything's getting bigger and crazier, you know.
Meanwhile, you have like some 12-year-old and they're editing their whole video on their cell phone. They're like, "Oh, I did this on my phone." I'm like, "I hate you." Because I don't want to sit here with my thumbs and edit. I can't. My mind won't let me.
Give me a drop-down menu. I don't know what all these symbols mean.
Yes.
So
hieroglyphics.
Bad. I mean, I wish I had a laptop to edit stuff on. iPad for everything.
iPad, you can do a lot of.
Do you have iMovie on your iPad?
I edit on.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were using. Yeah.
It's a solid program. Yeah.
Well, let me say what I'm working on and then get out of here. And I'm running low on battery too. Look at this. Okay, so for this week, there was supposed to be another person here, Jay from Hood Podcast, but he's not here because he is at Dragon Con in Atlanta right now. So he's having a good time there. He's probably going to take a bunch of photos. so we do Hood Podcast every Monday, where we talk about international news of the strange and unusual. But because this Monday is Labor Day, we'll be on Tuesday. Last Monday, we talked about FN Mecca, who was introduced to us as an AI rapper, but actually he was an augmented reality rapper who ended up being digital blackface. so he got signed by Capitol and then dropped by Capitol within a week. We also talk about a floating train in China that is powered by magnets. And we talked about a man who tried to sell organs on Facebook Marketplace. So that's the type of stuff we talk about on Hood Podcast weekly. But we also do more show reviews. And right now we're covering House of the Dragon. We're probably going to cover, I keep forgetting the name of it, the new Lord of the Rings series. We've been covering She-Hulk and most Marvel stuff. Yeah, so a lot of geek culture.
You can cover She-Hulk in about 3 minutes. It was like, what are they trying to? Are they going for a record for the shortest, smallest show? What are they doing over there? Really, Marvel ran out of money or something.
I think it's all the animation. Most of She-Hulk, she's animated for most of the series. So yeah, that's going to take some money. In addition to that, I will be continuing my regular live streams, but I'm only dropping down to once a week on What Did I Just Watch, and I'm finishing up From, which is a series. I describe it as kind of like Salem's Lot, but a little bit faster paced than Salem's Lot. I'm going to finish that, and then after the following week, I'll be doing Kingdom along with All of Us Are Dead, because that's what the chat voted on this next show that we covered. I just finished covering Hellbound and Ju-On Origins. So I'm going to be covering that once a week, because I'm going back to my regular videos where I do like my double feature reviews, horror, sci-fi, thriller. And also on my other channel, Fashion Freak Television, still covering that mess that's called 90 Day Fiance, because it's so bad it's good. It really is.
I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch it, but I'll watch your show so you can tell me about it.
What'd you say, Curly Girl?
I said gotta love them kind of shows.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me that my life is not so bad, and I'm not such a messed up person.
How do you say guilty pleasure?
Yeah. We used to watch. Me and my wife used to watch X on the Beach. It's terrible. It's the worst thing ever. When they had X on the peak, they put them in the mountains. Oh, it was the worst.
I used to love some Flavor of Love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Real Check Love, For the Love of Ray J. All that.
Jervis says Love After Lockup. I've seen a couple episodes of Love After Lockup. That's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
All right. Lorgen says peace and nothing but hair grease people. This is a perfect time to end this broadcast. With that, I'm going to say bye-bye.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
See you later, guys.
Thanks for watching. Great talking to you guys.